Our recording has started.
All right, good evening. I'd like to open the June 10th, 2025 Bethel Planning and Zoning Commission. I'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Right. As a reminder, any use of electronic devices is not for communicating in between the board. It's to review things on the Google Drive. We will go. What's that?
You start the tape?
Yes, sir. We'll start with our roll call. Start that on the table.
Kenny Parson, Commissioner.
Jeff DeRosa, alternate.
Paul Shanley, Chairman.
Kitty Grant, Secretary.
Diane Ryan, Commissioner.
Doug Kenny, alternate. Earl Braden, Commissioner.
Bob Legner, for sure.
And staff with us this evening.
Uh,
Carly, interim planner.
Amanda Martinez, recording secretary.
Excellent. Thank you. And we will seat Jeff DeRosa for Mike Kozlowski.
We don't have to do that for public hearing.
I know. I just like to get it on the record right away.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
All right, and we will move. I need to make a motion to add 19 Trowbridge under new business 7A and TOD to 7B. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
What are we doing?
Aye.
Any opposed?
What are you doing?
There's a application that came in concerning 19 Trowbridge as new business. We're adding it to the agenda. 7A.
Oh, under draft 9 DOD.
It's gonna be right before the TOD, so it's gonna be 7A down to 7B.
And what is it?
It's just an accept and continue. And then also, I will make a motion to add an executive session to discuss 17 Whitney Avenue, right behind the planner's report. That's will be the number 10. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. To reiterate, we've now added 19 Trowbridge under new business as 7A. POD has been bumped down to 7B. And we have added in the executive session concerning 17 Whitney as number 10. And then obviously commission comments is now 11 and 12. Okay, so we got that out of the way. We will move right in to our continued public hearing for One Knollwood Drive LLC. I am recused, so Kitty, you have the floor.
This right here. Oh, okay. All right. We have 1 Knollwood Drive, 830G site plan, 72 Reservoir Street. Ready? Mr. Trinkus?
Hello, Kitty and Commission. How are you?
Good. What do you have to tell us today?
So for the record, Steve Trinkus, licensed professional engineer from Southbury, representing the applicant on Knollwood and Reservoir Street. We had the site walk last Thursday, I believe, to look at where the first building was. I'm going to share my screen just so we can see this. So hopefully you see the map, I hope.
Yeah.
I'm working on it right now, so you guys can see it.
So, I mean, I really don't have that much to add. I'm happy to answer, questions. I believe the last hearing, there were a couple questions from the commission whether, my client would entertain, not doing 6 units, but either doing 4 or the 2 duplexes plus a single family in between. This was this layout was basically, I won't say a brokered agreement, but this was a consensus between the applicant and your former planner, Beth Cavagna. We had many different layouts that I did here that utilized the entire site with a building down, on the bottom, basically parallel to Reservoir Street. And then actually another building up on top of the hill here, where again, you've got a ridge top, along the back of the lots from Knollwood. Again, this is all rock up on top of the hill, but we had layouts that were up to 12 units in total. What the applicant, basically discussed, with your former planner was, as of right, there were 2 lots here. We could have done a duplex on each. And basically they're just asking for, 2 additional units, for a total of 6. One would be a 60% affordable, one would be an 80%, and you'd have 4 market rate units. And that's the proposal.
I'm sorry, there's going to be one at 80%, one at 60%?
Yes, correct, Kitty. Out of 6, 2 of them have to be affordable. And so, yeah, one's at 60, one's at 80.
Can you show us which is which?
That hasn't been determined. I don't know which ones it would be. The units are all identical, in this case. Square footage is, identical, so, which meets the comparable requirement under 8-3G that, the unit sizes, be comparable. So you couldn't have, an example, you couldn't have a market rate at 1,000 square feet and an affordable at, 800. 1,000 to 975 would be comparable, but in this case, all 6 units are the same. So there's no difference in square footage.
Which, everything. Okay, that's great.
Yeah, all the units have a single car garage. They're completely identical. So
Exactly. That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay, commission members, do we have any questions?
I got one.
Oh, wait a minute, before we do that, I'm sorry. Public,
Oh, I got a bunch.
then please, I'm sorry.
So-
I should go to the public first.
I live on Saxon, which
I'm
is,
sorry, can you say your name?
oh, sorry,
Name and address.
Tyler Pollock, 33 Saxon Road.
Tyler
Oh.
Pollock?
You wanted to come up.
Oh, you want me to come up and
Yeah,
stand? Okay.
yeah, it's better, so you can be on the camera.
Oh, man, now I'm on camera. All right. So, you're the commissioner, right? I'm not the commissioner. Yes. Okay, Tyler Pollock, we've talked.
We have it.
Yeah, many of times. So I'm in a flood zone and there's been an ongoing issue in Saxon with flooding. There's been issues
Is below this?
right below this, yes.
Right.
There was one that was just built 68 and 66 on the opposite side where there was a curtain drain put in and you guys, not you guys, but the people who were building it tied in the curtain drain to the storm drain. Where does that storm drain go? In my backyard to the creek. So that increased flooding at my house. Now, anytime it rains, I get flooding in my backyard. Not to mention the $20,000 worth of stuff I've already lost in the 5 years that have been in my backyard and the stuff I had to invest in to try to help the flooding issue. Nothing's been done to curtail the flooding, but we keep on building in this area where there's flooding where you're, I forget, maybe it's the planning and zoning guy who's not here anymore, who told me that you guys should not be allowed to build in this area because it's a flood zone. If he had his druthers, he would have bought all the units back and used that as a flood zone area and not put any house there.
Who
So,
told you this? I'm sorry.
I told you about this when we first talked. The guy who,
Was it Palmer before?
uh,
How long ago?
2 years ago.
It's Steve.
I think that, there you go. So he's telling me you guys shouldn't be building over there
Hey,
yet.
Tyler, I think it's Steve.
Hi, Janine. That's my neighbor. So her house gets flooded quite often. She used to have this beautiful backyard.
I know Saxon did.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, she's lost like 70%, not 70, like 40% of it. Like everything that went all the way back is now all the way here. Now we could sit there and say that it's because of weather increments, whatnot. We're adding stuff in that area that's adding to the flooding. The Toll Brothers project that was over there, that's up the way, they were supposed to put something in the ground, I forgot, some type of,
They put a good drainage in there.
yeah, so it was done improperly from what I was told. And we still have more flooding. I don't know right now that we should be allowing anybody to build until we take care of this flooding issue. It's not just me and my 4 neighbors that go under. It's the building behind me, right? The big giant building. I forgot how many people were there.
I'm not sure which building, but
There's
along
another,
Saxon, it's all the homes.
well, it's not even Saxon. It's the sawmill behind us.
No, it's a sawmill.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They
that's
have the
what
sawmill, then there's the other properties, it's, I forgot the name of the building, I have to go look at it, but they go under, it's a lot of people. Thank you. It's a lot of people that are getting affected by the flooding, but we're just gonna keep on building. Where's the runoff of the stormwater gonna go? Instead of having an area where it could suck some water in, it's going to my backyard. Every time we build something, instead of it raining just where it's supposed to normally rain, now I get a foot of flood. Now I get 2 feet of flood. Now the 2 properties that we just put up, it rained today, I got flood. I shouldn't have flood every time it rains. Before, it wasn't as bad. Then freaking the Toll Brothers put up a wall of wood, not wood, Toll Brothers, the sawmill built up this whole barrier that I brought up to you as well. That included, that started making the flooding come more my way. Honestly, I love this town. I love this place. It's a great place to live. I can never see me leaving. I mean, I would probably go under with the water because of the people that are on my street. They're great people. I love them. I love this place. Unfortunately, this is something that's become a problem and it's not being dealt with. That should be a first priority before we start doing a second priority.
How close are you? See, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I know where Saxon is.
Okay.
But in relation to this street,
So these are right here. I'm right there. This is my street.
so Saxon is down below?
No, wait, sorry, Reservoir. I'm over here. I apologize. I'd be right here. This is, see right there, Saxon Road.
You're right on the corner.
Yeah, no, I'm not on the corner. So the flooding, there's a creek that goes there. So the houses that just went up over here, 66 and 68, they built a curtain drain right in front. Then they tied into the storm drain. The storm drain, and this is the great part about this design, which was so stupid. There is a stream that goes behind Saxon.
Yeah.
All the storm drains are tied into that. So any catch water that gets, it's going in my backyard. We put new ones in, goes right to my backyard. We add stuff, it goes to my backyard. And it's not just my backyard. There's a gentleman that's got a beautiful house that he's put more money into his place that every time it rains, he goes under. And we still haven't done anything about the flooding.
Has anyone from the town been down there to look?
Yeah,
at-
multiple times. Actually, we've had the town out here probably 20 times.
Yep.
And the last time the town came out was 2 storms ago.
Yes,
And the
you-
town's,
Question, please. Who is it that's speaking?
This is Janine.
I mean, I'm sorry. I couldn't attend. That's why I'm on Google. I'm sorry.
Can you give me your name and address?
Janine Cody, 43 Saxon Road.
Thank you.
But the last storm we had, the town was down here. I showed the town pictures myself of the curtain drain of what the builder, which to my understanding is the same builder that is going to be building Reservoir, correct? Or is this the one that just built the 66 and 68? Is that not the same builder that's going to be building on Knollwood?
I don't know if we know, Janine.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
The town should know that.
They said,
Who's building?
TD and Son.
I can't hear you.
TD.
Yeah. Oh, so that's,
Here, it's got a
yeah,
LLC.
that's Draper?
No.
No.
That's not Draper.
L'Oreal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Diorio.
That's D'Onofrio, right?
so
That's D'Onofrio?
are you guys on Facebook at all?
D'Onofrio.
I'm guessing you
I'm
would
sorry,
in
go
town.
ahead.
Are you guys on Facebook at all?
Wait, no.
Anybody here? Anybody on the town Facebook page? No? Okay. So did you see the guy in the kayak with the beard kayaking down the street when we had the last? That was me. I kayaked from the backyard around the side of my house down my street to get my neighbor's stuff to bring it back to them.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. And we're not addressing it. We're not doing anything for these people who pay taxes One of them who goes under is, his name's Ed Keough, which you guys, some of you might know. He does a lot of work around the town. A lot
What's
of
his
people,
name?
Ed, I can always, yeah, thank you. I always screw up his last name. He's my neighbor.
Steve DeShell lives on the street too, doesn't he?
Yes,
Yeah.
he does.
Thank you.
So it's not like these aren't people who give back to the community. It's not like it's a
Okay.
minor problem. Again, this is a major problem. And it needs to be addressed before building something else. Is there?
That's right. Thank you very much. We'll have to do something about that. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir.
Scott Murphy, 74 Reservoir Street.
Yes.
To back him up, flooding has always been an issue on Saxon Woods and the west side of my house. I kind of can explain why it is at my house and what might be causing the problem there. When my family bought the farm, all the water comes off that hill where he wants to put those condos. And it's all, there's underground like riverbeds that go out to the fields, and that's how they watered the fields.
Okay.
All the water off of that hill. If
Which hill?
where he wants to blast out and put those 6 houses. Or
No,
3
what?
houses, yeah,
Oh, okay.
okay. The water comes down from there, and you had left before I got home when you did your walkthrough. I could have showed you where all the water comes down off of that hill because there's all channels. I even have a small retaining pond in my backyard that holds the water, and so it all goes out.
Mhm.
The same thing might have happened where he lives because that was Clary's farm, and they may have diverted water at one point to water their crops. But also the bottom end of Saxon has always been swampy.
Well, that I know. Yeah, that I know. I remember.
And I believe when Saxon was built, it was suggested they not build in
Not
that
go to the
area.
end.
That's why when you go into that cul-de-sac, it actually was gonna come out where Toll Brothers is at one point was the original plan for that, and the town knocked it out.
Yeah, we did.
But my concern is when he's blasting this, it's gonna create more flooding. Right across from this is 69 Reservoir Street. She lives downhill and she's a widow. All that water that doesn't make storm drain where he's talking about by 58 Reservoir, because that runs right into that brook that goes behind his house. It's gonna end up in her basement, which is a finished basement.
Oh, yeah.
The water's gonna come off that hill through my yard and flood out Fernandez's. And their house is built in wetlands. He wanted to build back further, but was told no because it's all natural springs. In blasting that out, it's gonna make the water worse in that area. And he's got some pretty expensive horses over there. And I'm sure he doesn't want them falling and breaking a leg. The other major concern I have with this is with that third house is the line of sight. Not just coming out of my driveway, but for the hundreds of cars that come in and out of Knollwood Drive, they will not be able to see past that house. I stood in my driveway. I see where you put that flag. If that's the house, I cannot see. And they will not be able to see coming out. Because there's a natural incline from just before Saxon. It goes uphill to my house and then it goes downhill. And if you're going down Reservoir Street, you cannot see what's at the bottom of that hill until you're almost in my driveway. And cars are coming up over that hill
Speeding.
without a doubt, 50 plus miles an hour.
So we have to do traffic, look at traffic.
A traffic study, and it's a safety issue, that third house.
What, the one on the corner?
The one, yeah. The one, well, at first he said it was 10 feet from the road and then it became 13 or 14. And I went out and measured when I got home and you got that marker at 13 feet, 3 inches.
That is what we were told. Yes.
That's not, the line of sight is not there. It's going to create more issues for the wetlands.
Mhm.
And I believe I had asked twice, this will be the third time. My grandson has a traumatic brain injury. He had a stroke an hour after he was born. And I'd asked, because I don't think about this new type of blasting. I had heard that blasting can affect people with traumatic brain injuries. And I've asked twice, this is not a third time, can someone please look into this?
I've never heard of us doing that, at the same time.
Well, that's what
But we'll,
I don't,
but maybe we'll have to.
it was a Band-Aid installer, that's it. I don't know.
So you think the noise would bother you?
The noise or the vibrations, person with a traumatic brain injury. That part I understand.
Okay.
But with this new blasting, you're saying they just cracked the rock. I've never heard of it and I've never seen it done. The last incident with blasting I've had was the Toll Brothers chasing bowling ball sized rocks out into the middle of Reservoir Street because they were doing it legally.
Okay. Wait. Alright, so this has to be checked too. Okay. Okay.
But like I said, my major concern is the safety. Is like I've stated before at these meetings, that hill was cut like that for the line of sight when they built Mowood. Reservoir Street in that area is 8 feet wider than the rest of the road. And I can even go back when they put in Sycamore and Vera. We never had accidents on that corner until they cut that rock out for the line of sight. And now we got cars going through guardrails, taking out mailboxes. It's a show.
How high up is that?
Which one?
What, it comes over the hill?
When you come down Reservoir from Grassy Plain, you come down, you got the right-hand turn. There used to be a rock right at the edge of the road where Linky Hurgeon's house is.
Oh, I know where they are.
Okay, when they put in Sycamore and
Yeah,
Vera,
at the corner, yeah.
yep, when they put those two roads in, they cut the rock back for a line of sight. And since that's been done, there's a steel guardrail there that gets hit at least twice a week. Mailboxes are taken out continuously.
Well, I would never have known that.
My mailbox,
I drive down that street, but I don't see any of that.
my mailbox has been taken out, and I don't know how they cleared the stairs, but they hit the mailbox twice.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
You have, there's someone online with their hand raised.
I know, but I was just asking in here first before we go in there. Okay,
Just an observation.
sure, please.
My name is Nancy Sudik. I'm at 2 Ridgedale Road. I almost said where I work. This is just an observation for tonight's meeting and for many meetings the past, I'd say maybe 6 or 8 months. How come it's always, I've asked this question before. This is the 3rd time I've asked this question. This is the 5th time I've asked this question. It has not been answered. Why is that allowed?
Why is one allowed?
Not answering questions.
Like, wasn't it where you had a question?
No, not her. She's saying that people, the public are like, I've asked this question 3 times already. That's what she said.
Madam Chair,
This man just said I've asked
Madam
this
Chair,
question
may I
2 or 3.
Yeah.
address that? From,
We got Nancy Fan first?
sure.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to answer a question, Madam
Oh,
Chair.
okay. Oh, then please go ahead.
So everybody understands, in public comment, it's public comment. It's not a public hearing, unfortunately. The board is not really traditionally supposed to go back and forth and answer questions.
Oh, no, I understand.
During
I
public
totally
comment.
can.
Okay.
Totally.
Fair
No,
enough.
no,
That
I
was
know.
what I was saying, Madam Chair.
When it comes
Thank you.
time for the person who's supposed to answer the questions, doesn't get answered. And that's my comment. So I will be a little more pointed. I was trying to be polite. People have asked time and time and time again, why is my question not being answered? I've asked this for 3 weeks, 3 different meetings in a row, and I still have not gotten an answer to my question. This man just said it, so he probably could elaborate better than me. Why does that happen? And what are you going to do about it? That's my question.
Well, we have people here in this audience who are not in the audience, excuse me, up here at this table, who should be able to answer his question about,
We have people on that screen who should be able to answer the question too,
on this screen?
or that one, either one.
Well, well, it could be. Could be, because I
I'm
don't
still
know.
trying to be polite, not be.
No,
polite.
thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I appreciate that much. Okay, so you have the answer for you.
And to her point, my issue with flooding has gone back for a while. He got thrown to the wolves with me and I took it very nicely with him. I even apologized. I'm like, listen, I'm just gonna let it fly out the handle because I'm sick of it at this point. First it was the beavers and that was the issue. Then after 2 years of arguing with the town, we finally took care of the beavers. Now we're gonna add more fuel to the fire with changing the landscaping around where we live. And now the flooding's getting worse. And now it's another thing. And it's not him. He answers the phone. He talks to me. He's trying. I've seen him on our street, so I'm not going to direct anything to him. But like, somebody's got to put a foot in the ground and be like, listen, we can't do anything more here until we figure out what's going on with this. We can't inconvenience these people that have been living here, paying taxes, doing what they need to do, being part of the community. And I'm not just talking about me. I've only been here 5 years. But my neighbors,
Saxon Road.
yeah, my neighbor grew up in that house and owns it.
Yeah.
Like people have been here for years. I respect that, man. We should do something to make sure that this is taken care of now before we start building or helping anybody else out. I want to say take care of our own. And that's the only way I could actually say it properly, I think, in my head, is we need to take care of our own before we start taking care of others.
So the note I put in here for myself was to make sure whoever is going to look at this and address the, excuse me, oh my God. What is going to be built here, that the people, the engineers who are going down there to look should be looking at your street first. Because we've had trouble with Saxon. How long have I been on this commission? 32 years? Let me tell you. I remember a long time ago when Saxon they were building and people were complaining then.
There needs to be
And
something.
I thought it was taken care of.
It wasn't. It never was. And there was a pond there that somebody built, threw stuff back in and filled in that was part of the water. It was able to take water in, like they have pictures of them skating on this pond. It was on the sawmill side.
Yeah.
But again, it's never, ever been taken care of. It's gotten worse since these
I can
things
imagine,
have been going in. So.
Okay. I have a note here.
And can I ask a question? Are you saying that you are going to send engineers down here to come look at Saxon Road? Because I'd love to have a conversation with your engineers myself and several other people and kind of show them exactly where Toll has already filled in their retaining pond that was legally supposed to be done, and it's filled in. I could show you Pulowski's property. Unfortunately, the father passed away, and God rest him. But anyways, he passed away and he filled in a lot over here, and you could see that on the before and after pictures from the town. And that's also causing additional flooding. You guys, many years ago, dredged. I think it needs to come back and happen again, or set up a retaining pond back there where the land is just the land. I tried to set up, I wanted to do a wall myself. I got told from the town that I'm not able to do that. Well, it's my property. So we should be able to protect our assets. We do pay taxes. We don't want our house flooded. We should be able to protect it. But I'm always told you can't build on the wetlands. And how do you guys want us to protect the properties when we're not really getting straight answers from the town?
I think right now myself is before anyone starts building there, that's going to affect that. Like somebody like Mr. Trinkus should be going there to look. I will ask him to go and to look down at that part of the street and to make sure that what is going to happen isn't going to have an effect on that part of Bethel.
But when you guys put those 2 new homes on Reservoir with the curtain drain, I have pictures on my cell phone and video of it flooding, which is causing additional flooding because you tied in from the curtain drain to the storm drain. And that's only for 2 homes. Now you're talking about putting additional homes and blasting What about people's foundations that live close right on Reservoir Street? Are their foundations going to be ruined? What's the impact on that?
Well, there have to be rules when they start blasting, that they have to follow. And that's just the way things are. And they will have to follow those rules. So we'll just, yes, Ken.
Can I ask our interim planner question?
Who?
Jeremy?
Oh, if we finished the public's questions,
Sure.
yes.
Sure.
Okay, is there anyone else in the public who has more questions?
I know there was a question on, where the town right of way was on Knollwood side of the 72 Reservoir Street. It's kind of far back. My question there would be, if it's that far back, who owns the property on Knollwood where all the power goes underground?
The property where the houses are going to be?
No, I know Diorio owns that, but Mr. Trinkus was talking about the right of way being way back off of the street, which is not normal.
Right of way, what we were talking about, wasn't it where the driveways were? And
That's
that's
where
right
the
of way right
driveways are
there.
gonna go off of Knollwood. The
Right.
right of way is set back off of the road.
Yes,
Okay.
because it was set back into the driveways.
Who owns the property
The
Where-
person who owns the house.
where all, he bought
No.
72 Reservoir Street. He
no,
didn't
no.
buy the property on Knollwood Drive. I know where the property line is,
It's out in the public right away.
okay?
Oh, the public right of way. I'm
Right.
sorry.
But all the power for Knollwood, there's one telephone pole on that whole street.
I didn't know that.
Everything goes underground wherever he wants to put a driveway. Comes in off of that pole, goes underground, and then up the road a little bit. Mr. Trinkus even said it, the transformer's right there. And all the power from Knollwood is underground.
What, Mr. Trinkus, do you hear this question?
Yes, and I'll address them when you're done with all the comments. I'm writing notes, so I'll
Okay.
be happy to address all of them when we get to that stage.
Okay, is there anything else from the public? Okay, Ken, you want to go ahead?
There's someone online,
Oh, where?
Rachel Dowers.
I can't see.
She has her hand raised.
I can't see what that is.
Rachel, you could talk.
Rachel, go ahead.
Hi, I have property up at the bottom, at the top,
Have your name and address?
6 Saxon Road. So we're at the top, kind of a few houses in from Reservoir. I'm on the higher side compared to the other people who are on this call, and I can't even begin to tell you how ridiculous this is. We literally have to kayak on our street. What? Just seriously, what is that about? You can't do that. That's not fair. We have to have our UPS and our mail delivered to us in a kayak? What is that? No. Now you want to build on marshes and you want to start blowing up buildings and mountains. I'm so frustrated to hear all of this. Do not blast. I had to deal with that other house that getting built across the street with me, and they were building, and when they were blasting and when they were doing it, our whole house shook, and we were a few houses down. You start blasting, I can't. I literally cannot.
Okay.
Just money grab. You guys, this is just a money grab. This had nothing to do with helping people that's all it can be.
House when it was a field.
Okay, the houses they're building.
So she has flooding in her backyard also, and she's actually on the higher end.
And
I'm
you-
on the high side.
And you're on Saxon.
I'm on Saxon. I'm on the high side. I'm one of the highest points. And I had to spend $12,000 to install a new curtain drain because there was one there already, but that curtain drain wasn't handling the flow. So we had to spend $12,000 to put in a new curtain drain, a new drainage. Guess what's in my backyard? And I'm on the top of the hill. I have water in my backyard that's going to sit there for a few days. Do not blast. Do not build. You know what happened with all of the buildings that you guys have been building around here, and we have the mall that's sinking. Just stop. And now I'm done. You heard my frustration. You're hearing everybody's frustration. Don't do it. No blasting, no building, no flooding.
So blasting on, excuse me, on this part of this part of the street, on Reservoir, will affect the people in Saxon?
Yes, it will,
It's
because that
sugar
rock,
house.
that ledge that's there actually goes under Reservoir, under 71 and 73 Reservoir, and up the hill behind those two houses. Her house is the third house down on the left. That's all ledge that's connected to the ledge that's, he wants to blast out.
Okay. Are you hearing this, Mr. Trinkus?
Yes, I'm just waiting for the
Making,
comment to be complete, and I'm happy to address comments.
okay. Ken, you wanted to do
I'm
something?
sorry, there's one more.
Oh, there's one more person?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And who is it?
Jeanette, that's one?
Jeanette? What is your list?
Janet.
Oh, Janet, I'm sorry.
I can't see. I can't see.
Janet?
I'd have to turn around.
Cover spelling her name.
It's right on the board.
Oh, Janice?
Janet.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
Janet.
H-E-S-S-L-E-R.
Janet Hessler.
Yes.
Okay, Janet, what's your address, Janet?
Yes, I am also a resident of Saxon Road at 25 Saxon Road. So I'm down further on the street. I am about 3 houses up the street from Tyler. We've been here 30 years and I have seen the water issues increase over time. They increased when the large condo complex went up. We tried to fight Toll Brothers. I spent 2 years going to P&Z meetings and it didn't do anything. Actually, Rachel, the last time we were just about flooded, Rachel was shoulder to shoulder with me trying to bail out the garage and keep the water at the house. I also have a finished basement. Tyler was collecting up our wood from our wood pile in the kayak on the back of the house. So now if there's going to be more building and more flooding issues, I can't believe that the town is going to allow that to happen. There's existing issues already. And I think those need to be addressed before anything else should be going on with any kind of development. It's not a good situation. And certainly if the town doesn't do anything, it's going to get worse, and building is going to make it that much worse faster.
Thank you, Ms. Hessler. You're making us well aware of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else? No? All right, Ken, you want to go?
Jeremy, are you on?
I'm here.
Can we get an outside consultant to take a really, really good look at what's going on there?
Sure you could. Yeah, of course. We can suggest one within Tyche, or if there's somebody that you guys have used, you can use whoever you've used in the past.
I'd like to make a motion that we don't work in that direction and have that done.
Second.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, so let's do this.
At least.
Third-party engineering review to look at the stormwater management is what you're looking for.
I think that's a very good idea.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we have to.
Yeah,
Make
I
an
only
official-
heard a second. Did everyone?
Yes. No, we didn't vote.
Okay. Just making sure.
Okay. Well, I was waiting to see if there's anything further before we voted.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Can the commission members, we should run, Mr. Parsons' motion?
Yeah.
Eric? Jeff?
I don't know if I'm seated or not.
No, for hearing you're seated.
Okay.
Everybody's seated for public hearing.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, yes,
Yes.
Kitty.
Yes.
We have a unanimous vote, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
I think Rachel wants to ask something again.
1 second.
Comments.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't. Somebody had another, is it Janet who had a question?
Rachel.
Rachel?
Yes. Hi. So since most of the buildings are our houses are partially underground just because they're split housing. The garages do not count on our insurance. So if that gets flooded, we lose everything. So I think we should start maybe charging the town every time we have to file insurance claims, and maybe things will get settled, because it is a ton of paperwork. People are rebuilding their houses every few months. Just do not be more blasted. Don't do any of this.
I don't know if we can do such a thing. Rachel,
Well, if you can't do anything about it, then pay us the money anytime there's an insurance problem, because dealing with the insurance people is just as bad. So if anyone gets flooded from these problems, the town should be picking this up from us. We shouldn't have to keep filing insurance claims, dealing with the insurance deciding what they want to approve and deny because it's a partially basement that's covered and they don't cover basements. Like, no. If you're going to be building, we're going to start charging you guys every single time.
thank you, Rachel.
If I could, for just a point of information,
Please go right
if we
ahead.
could ask the interim town planner to explain the rules of 830G and planning and zoning's role in 830G.
Sure, I can do that. Connecticut General Statutes 8-30G requires that until the town has hit the point of 10% of your housing stock being affordable, and there's a calculation that goes into what that means, but essentially it's housing that is geared towards folks that make 60% or 80% of the area median income for the community. So until you've hit that 10% mark, essentially developers can come in with a site plan application to the commission and request approval from the commission. And the commission ultimately, the only way the commission can really deny a request is if there is likely to be unreasonable risks to health, safety, and welfare of the greater community as a result of that individual project. So things, concerns from up the street say, if there's a gravel pit up the road with dust, you can't really tie your denial to that gravel pit up the road because of the dust and concerns about the residents that might be living at this proposed project. It's about impacts of the project itself on the larger community. But the other thing that I guess the important factor to know with 830G is that it supersedes your zoning regulations. And so that's where you get these applications that come in where they don't meet the setbacks, the density is higher, maybe the landscaping doesn't meet the requirements, and so on and so forth. So the commission, of course, you always want to work with the applicant and get the best product that you can. But that's kind of the short version of what that all is.
But you did say if there's special circumstances that put the greater good at risk, then it shouldn't be approved, correct?
What I said was that, or what you should, what you need to pay attention to is that if there is likely to be negative health, safety, or welfare responses as a result of the application verified by a professional, then that could be a grounds for a denial, but you need to have a professional opinion before coming to that conclusion.
Okay, but you still said that. I shortened it down what you said, but if there is something that is detrimental to the greater good in that area, it's something that should be denied. And yes, I'm shortening what you said, but that's what you said.
But we just made a motion to get a
No, I
professional
know.
in here to assess that.
I
So
know.
really, we're kind of talking in circles right now. We need the information before we can move forward to determine if there is a risk. Which is where,
No,
we just need more information before we can make it.
If there was a plague outbreak, maybe we would have a chance to shut it down, but
so we're just screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We will not be moving forward because I think as we've all said, we will ask that we have somebody
Just
come
being
and
honest.
look at this.
I appreciate you being honest. I mean, so we're
That's
on
all we can
record
do
though,
at this
right?
point.
Like this is being recorded?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
so if we get
It's even
more
being
fla-
approved tonight.
No, I know. I'm just saying, and I appreciate you being candid with me. People will be getting lawyers if we go underwater and it gets worse. I'm just letting you know, for every action, there is a reaction. So you've been notified, you've been told, then next thing is that we are gonna have to start getting lawyers involved because this has been going on for years. And it's been falling on deaf ears. And I appreciate what you did in trying to get somebody out there. But again, you just said it's gonna go forward. So if it goes forward and you guys aren't doing anything to curtail the flooding, that's gonna be our only avenue of doing something to get it done.
Let's see what the experts say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think we're sort of stopped where we are right now.
Gonna allow Mr. Trinkus to answer.
Oh, no, yes, of course.
He didn't stay here.
Absolutely, positively. No, this, everybody else. Mr. Trinkus.
Yes, Kitty. Yeah, I'll be happy to address the comments. I need to make a couple observations. I did not work on the two homes across the street, which Mr. Tony Duario and his son built. I did not work on either of those. Also, it's important to point out that single-family lots in Bethel, in any of the zones, are not subject, in my experience, well, actually, I guess they are. I don't know what happened here. I think they do have to do stormwater, but I think at the time those were built, they only had to do stormwater for a 25-year storm. It's now from a 2-year up to a 100-year storm. But the rest of Knollwood Drive, which drains out, most of it drains, I believe, back out to Reservoir Street. Those homes were built late 70s and 80s. All of their drains, I'm going to assume, most of the houses are actually built on slab. We did surveying up there, back at that time when I was still in college. But there was no stormwater detention for any of the duplexes on, the whole section of Knollwood. So that water is all going into the drainage system and going out to Saxon. I mean, that's just the way it was built back then. In our case, we have a detention system at the north end of our site. It provides a zero increase in runoff from the 2-year storm all the way up through the 100-year storm, which is the current town of Bethel requirements. But many of the other homes in the neighborhood that drain towards Saxon, likely have no stormwater management at all. That's because it wasn't required at the time those homes were built. And I do sympathize with the neighbors, on that. Regarding the blasting, it is the way the contractors, the blasters do it today. First off, they will do a pre-blast survey 250 feet beyond the area that we're working. That's a requirement under the fire marshal, that they will do a pre-blast survey. And what that entails is the blaster will knock on the doors of the homes within that area and ask to inspect, the house with the owner's permission, to look, if you have a basement, to look at the basement to see if there are, cracks in the basement or there's no cracks, to look at sheetrock cracks. I mean, basically to get a pre-blast survey is what it's called, of any issues that you might have in a house. So if, say, you have absolutely no, sheetrock cracks at all, and the site gets blasted and you're across the street and all of a sudden you have cracks in your sheetrock, then the blasting was responsible for, the cracking. So that's why they do the pre-blast survey, and it will be all homes within 250 feet of, this property. It will be, have that survey done. And again, that's also, all blasting is under the jurisdiction of the fire marshal. In Mr. Murphy's question about what drains, towards, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen for a second here, is that the southern portion of our property that's really up on top of the ridge, this long rectangle, basically, this does drain, directly behind Mr. Murphy's house and down towards that, flat, I guess, former farm area. And that the runoff runs downhill. That's where it's going. The development site, most of this runoff is draining perpendicular to the contours out towards Reservoir Street. A very little bit of it is draining towards Mr. Murphy's, the house area here in this area. But the majority of the area we're working on actually runs out as overland flow to Reservoir Street. When the rock cut is made on the, southern and sides of the site, at the base of the cut, we will have a curtain drain that will tie into the catch basin. That's just there to catch any runoff that bleeds out of the rock. I mean, you can see water bleeding out of the rock along numerous aspects of 84. It's not a flood of water, it's a seepage, and you can see it during the winter because you'll see the ice forming on, the rock cuts. So the curtain drain is just there to give that seepage water a place to go. But all of the roof drains and the driveways up to our property line, the right-of-way line, are being, directed to the underground detention system for this site. Let me just go back to that sheet. Hopefully it'll show up quicker as far as that goes. I guess it goes the other way. Excuse me 1 second. Computer is being, perhaps a little slower than I'd like for some reason tonight. But, we will have detention, which virtually none of the other properties, along Knollwood provide. The right-of-way line on the west side of Knollwood is set very far back. I have no idea why it was set that far back. Most of the time on a subdivision road, the right-of-way is 50-foot wide with the road being centered on it. Why it was so offset to this side, I don't have an answer for it. It's just there. The driveways, yes, will come from the west side of Knollwood up to each structure. There was concerns by Eric Swenson from your DPW department of the town not being potentially asked to maintain the trench drain that's, along the driveway. In response to an email from Jeremy, your planner, I said my client would be happy to, sign a hold harmless agreement that, all the work within the right of way that serves each of these duplexes will be maintained by the owner or the homeowners, and there'll be no obligation of the town to maintain any of the items within the right of way that we need to simply get to our house. Let's see. I'd like to actually change what I'm sharing here. So I'm going to get rid of my plan for a second and pull up something else. Does everybody see the Bethel GIS now?
No. We see you.
No, just see me. Okay, let me.
It's you.
Okay. Okay. Let's see if this works. Okay. All right. So now we see the GIS. This is, Saxon Woods here. Obviously you can see there is a water course along the east side about midway of those lots. It goes out to a very large swamp that is almost surrounds Pulowski's timber operation out there. I will be honest, I have never driven on Saxon. I will, take a look at it. I think your engineer will look at that also. Todd Ritchie from SLR did review the stormwater design for our project, and it complies to the Bethel standard. Additionally, on the west side of Saxon Woods, the residents live here, and I think Rachel Bowers was one at number 6, which I think is the one that happens to be highlighted in red here. But the ridge line for the Toll Brothers site is west of that, and basically the slope of that ridge goes to the east behind all the homes on the west side of Saxon. So the water that those residents are experiencing is simply the overland runoff from the ridge, which is mostly on the Toll Brothers site, draining down towards your home. I mean, you can look at the topographic mapping on the GIS, and it clearly shows that there. It's likely that when the homes were built, that adequate drainage provisions to intercept that water from the hill off your property were not put in by the builders to basically prevent the water from coming down onto your house. You know, again, if these are raised ranches, they're likely partially cut into the ground. You know, you may have, and again, I'm happy to take a ride out there, but I'm just based on similar areas. You know, you probably have a, you know, relatively smaller backyard that's flat, but then you have a slope that is coming down to your flat backyard. And again, it's a ridge line on the Toll Brothers property that is, you know, draining in that direction. I mean, with the extent of flooding that is being experienced by the neighbors, which obviously is a concern to anybody, you know, it's a pre-existing condition. I don't know, you know, what's really causing it. You'd have to, hopefully your engineering consultant can, you know, get a sense of it. But, you know, based on the topographic mapping, when you get out towards the north end, where I think Mr. Pollock lived, you know, and you can see the extent of this swamp that's, you know, out in that direction, except for perhaps the water course itself being on the back of the lots. I mean, the swamp extends, I think probably in, I guess would be the open space parcel, perhaps below, just to the south of Pulowski, in this area, and then runs, you know, west and again, north. It appears that is, you know, literally dead level out there. By the lack of contours. And again, water needs, you know, a difference in elevation to flow. If it's dead level, water doesn't know where to go and water will simply pond. That's, you know, how water operates, you know, in the real world. It will flow when there's a slope, but when it flattens out and there's no slope, it simply ponds. You know, again, I'm happy to take a look at this area in addition to your own engineer to see, you know, what kind of thoughts, you know, might be to address some of this. But I will tell you that our project, you know, is not going to worsen the situation because we have a stormwater management system to control the runoff from our site, which is required by the Bethel regulations, as far as that goes. In looking at, again, the GIS, the Toll Brothers detention pond is located in the front portion of their property towards Reservoir Street. And again, the ridge line is located to the east of Toll Brothers and, you know, west of the Saxon Wood homes. So it doesn't look, you know, you can't really tell much on the Google image of the detention pond, how well it's been maintained. It does not look filled in to me, but I'd have to look at it in the field. You know, it's a little hard to ascertain if they did anything with it, you know, looking at a Google image. But that pond is towards Reservoir Street and is likely draining further to the west along Reservoir, as that's the lower section. But that runoff simply cannot get up over the hill to Saxon. I think the majority of the runoff is likely from the drainage system on Knollwood and perhaps a little bit of Reservoir Street to the east of Saxon. But again, I'm happy to take a look at in the field and offer my thoughts on that particular issue.
We'd appreciate that.
And, you know, again, just to follow up on Jeremy's, you know, comment about 8-3G, I've done many of these, not only in Bethel, but in other towns. You know, it is a state statute. It does allow a developer to override zoning, basically write your own setbacks and site coverage, et cetera. And the only issues that the commission, you know, may consider for denying it is public health, safety, welfare, which historically is, you know, public water, public sewer, which we have and we can connect to, you know, traffic. And again, you know, 2 additional units on Knollwood over what we could do as of right is not a traffic impact. In Mr. Murphy's case of the proximity of the unit to the edge of the road, yes, it's a hair over 13 feet from the edge of the pavement. But when, and I'm going to stop sharing this one and go back to my plan for a second. Because it's important that, you know, when Mr. Murphy is exiting his driveway, his sight line, when he's looking to the east, back towards town from his driveway, he is looking in the westbound travel lane, which is the one farther from our site. So it is not crossing, it stays, the line would stay within the right of way and would not be impacted by that house because the westbound traffic is what's coming up over the hill towards him. He's not looking at the eastbound lane because that would be the lane he's turning into to head back to town. If he's making that right-hand turn, he's going to be looking left to the west on Reservoir Street for a car coming, that direction, so it's safe to pull out. If he makes a left, again, he's looking, on Reservoir Street, but he's looking to the westbound travel lane, which is the north side of the road, not the south side of the road. So the proposed unit does not interfere with the site distance in any shape or form, exiting his driveway. And again, I think that, addresses the comments. And again, I'm happy to, allow the continuation of the hearing. So, I can take a look at it, and your consultants, whoever you retain can also, take a look at the issue on Saxon Woods. I think that road, based on what I can see on the town GIS, they probably shouldn't have put the homes on the right-hand side of the road. It's a very flat area with the brook in the back. I think that's probably where, the water historically, went before the road was built. Again, that's just, based on 40 years of, doing land development work. And it's unclear if maybe, some of those homes on the east side of Saxon, some of that may have been wetlands. It's anybody's guess. But again, the wetlands regulations did not come in until about the mid 70s. So development that occurred before that, builders could have done anything, including filling in, hundreds of acres of wetlands. Our site is not wetlands. It's not near wetlands. We're really high and dry. But based on, again, my experience, that kind of appears what may have been done, on Saxon, but, we're here today. So, the thing is, what can be done to, address the issues, from, the neighbors, which are very legitimate. Our project is not going to adversely affect them, but it's all existing runoff that we need to see, if something can be done.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. So you could get back.
Mr. Trinkus, there's one more question out there that maybe you can address. It was the buried electrical lines in front of.
Yeah. The pole is, right here, almost opposite the word Knollwood. And then they do go underground to the south, to the existing transformer pad here. The driveways at this point are going to be basically at the existing grade. So we're not going to impact those utility lines. And then we're going to bring our utilities off the existing transformer up to each of the homes. So the existing, power lines will be maintained, underground. It's kind of unusual why they didn't run the power lines underground from Reservoir Street, but they evidently just, put one pole in and then went underground, when Knollwood was built. It doesn't really kind of make sense. Generally, Eversource, when there's a new subdivision, the entire new utility is set underground, but, they put a pole, I don't know, roughly 100, 150 feet back from Reservoir Street and then went underground. So.
Anybody else have any questions for?
I have one, actually. Sure, I will.
Go ahead.
Have, Mr. Trinkus, have you done a title search yet on that property between the road and your, property line?
I believe, well, it's town owned. It's not, we don't own it. I can tell you that much. I mean, there's a fence here you can see, and the property line is right there. That's all we own to. So the area between that fence and the physical edge of pavement on Knollwood is part of the town right of way. It's owned by the town of Bethel. I believe, Jeremy talked to or had the town attorney look into it. Maybe he should weigh in on it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The town attorney did send a letter to the board. Did you get the commission?
Yes.
it was on around the second, that the town does believe that the applicant needs to do a title search on that property. Because at that time when the roads were handed over, we're not sure what and wasn't. And it's really the applicant to determine whether that's right of way or town property, not the town. So that.
Well, I mean,
Title search. I'm sorry, that's the recommendation of the town attorney.
right. Well, you know, again, I did a lot of land surveying in the late 70s and most of the 80s. You know, the right of way, you know, if we were searching this property, you know, we'd find our site, we'd find a boundary of a fence line. Then the area between that fence line and the road is the road right of way. And, you know, I know the town attorney had an opinion that she wasn't sure the town owned it. And I spoke with Jeremy about it. And basically, I mean, the town has issued building permits up and down Knollwood since it was put in. So you have to have frontage on a town road. So, you know, how it quote unquote did not get officially adopted, you know, is an open question, but it's clearly, you know, the town maintains it. So it, my perspective from, development, I mean, the town owns it. I can check with our council, but the surveyor, and actually I'll check with the surveyors doing the land surveying, because they, in doing their survey, they would have done, a deed search, which is a title search, for this. But our deeds definitely do not go beyond the fence line. So
the confusion, Madam Chairman, is that at some point they changed the rules on how we accept roads in the town, and the roads were actually deeded over. There's some confusion, on this old property. It clearly was on the map that it was reserved for the road, this piece. But we don't know when the road was given, if it was actually the road or if it included that. So the town's position, or the attorney's position, is that we're not sure, but we can't have somebody build on something that we're not sure about. It's on the applicant to do a title search. And by the way, it's important to know that the applicant actually came to the town informally asking if we would sell that property to them. So there's a knowledge there to know that it's probably could or could not be the town's, in their opinion, but we don't have a deed showing it is. So it is really going to be on the applicant to show that.
Before anything is
That's
done,
up to you.
we have to know that.
Right. That's what the town says. I just want to make sure you understood that, because it's been kind of, on the town side, we've been concerned. And I just wanted to throw that out for you guys to
No,
look
thank
into
you
it.
very much.
it's like Steve Trinkus for the records. I said, I will talk to the surveyors, but if our deeds go to the fence line, that's all I own. And the area between that fence line and the edge of Knollwood, would be town of Bethel. I mean, we're happy to look into it, but that's what would be the deeds. If they go to the fence line here, that's, that's a limit of our title. And the rest of it, again, being adjacent to the road, it would be assumed that the town owned it. There's no other owner, private owner, showing, in this area. So, but we'll look into it. So, but I believe it is the town land, and again, like any other lot in the town of Bethel, all driveways cross the right of way that the town owns to get to, a single family house or any development, because the limit of the right of way is generally 12 feet, give or take, from the edge of the pavement back. This is really unusual. I will be the first one to, say that it is.
I've heard it before.
And I'm sure just so everybody knows on the commission, this has been happening every so often. It does happen. If you remember the quiet title action going on up on Maple Row up near Berkshire right now, it was a similar thing where there was a piece of roadway which they thought the town had, or even but nobody ever, when the whole thing was given over or purchased, there was this one piece that was missing. So it was actually in La La Land who actually really owned it. Nobody knew. So they had to go to court and do a quiet title action. And that could be something here. We may own it as a town, but it's on the applicant to determine if that's town-owned land or if it's right away.
Okay.
That's kind of, because this is happening all over the place right now in these small little pieces. So I hope that helps the commission there.
Okay, well, we'll look into it. We have
Thank
no
you.
objection to doing that.
We have a lot of questions for the next meeting. Okay, so is that, yeah, you had questions, sir?
He answered the question to my driveway. And He doesn't come out of my driveway every day, so he doesn't know. But the other part of that question was the hundreds of cars coming out of Knollwood cannot see. Like I said, they come up over that hill at 50 plus miles an hour.
You mean over Reservoir?
Yeah, coming from Danbury.
Right, so they come over Reservoir, and then you're worried about what's coming out of Knollwood.
Right, because if you stop where they legally tell you either the stop line or your front bumper lined with the stop sign, you can't see.
Can't see. I don't know. We'll have to go take a look.
I did take.
That whole area is blind. I can tell you because I look and see the street and we have accidents all the time.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that question.
I'm agreeing that people fly here. I've seen multiple accidents on my corner. We can't see. And what you're saying is that limited sight line, that's a blind corner from our street. So yeah, there have been a lot of accidents, and I will definitely say that there have been. I don't know how you think that this is not going to impact things when we have people who literally, as he said, 50 miles an hour.
Oh, I've noticed that on Payne Road lately, which is a 25-mile-an-hour road. As you're trying down it sometimes during the day, it's 40, 45.
I mean, even putting a stop sign in didn't work when it down the street. People just blow through that. And
they do.
It's really not safe. We have kids here. And I also, when I could speak, I would have questions to ask Mr. Tarkus as well.
Have we requested a traffic study for this area, for this project?
Did we request a traffic study? I don't think we did.
I had
That's all
suggested it,
minutes.
but you never voted to do it.
I didn't see it. Not for this one, for the one.
Minutes
before.
from last.
Okay, so you think there should be a traffic study?
Yeah, I don't know if I have to make a motion for that,
Yeah.
but.
Please go right ahead.
I'd like to make a-
Well, I'd like to weigh in on that with all due respect. This is 2 more units than what
You
can
are.
be built here as of right.
I think excuse me, Mr. Trinkus.
Right.
I think he thinks you want him to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right. Right, yeah. For the town.
I want to discuss the doing traffic study. We have, as of right, I can build 4 units, on these 2 parcels, 1 on each, 2 on the front parcel, 2 on the back parcel. We are asking 2 units more. The condition of the sight line, on, Reservoir and Knollwood are pre-existing conditions. And the building does not interfere with the sight line from Knollwood heading out. And it's important to understand that the sight line is measured from 3.5 feet above the pavement to a target, i.e. a car on on Reservoir Street, 3.5 feet above the ground. So it's not looking, down at the bottom of the wheel. It's basically looking at the top of your grill. And, there is a 250-foot sight distance there. I would say, as Mr. Murphy pointed out, that people are driving faster than 25 on the road. So yes, that would, clearly shorten the sight distance, because of the speed of the car. It's 10 times the speed limit, is the rule for sight distances. A suggestion, I actually saw this in an article, the town of Washington, I guess it's something through DOT, but they put in 3 locations in town, speed cameras. They'll take a picture if you're speeding of your license plate, and I guess you get mailed a ticket. And they did it on 3 roads, and in the past, I think it was a couple of months, $21,000 worth of tickets were issued. And there is warning signs that, you're coming up to a speed camera on these 3 locations. But, people have always driven way more than the speed limit on any road. I grew up in Reading, and it's the same issue we had on many of our, windy roads in Bethel, in Reading, as much as in Bethel. They're 25 miles an hour, but people drive 35 to 40, if not more, depending on how straight the road is. But I will tell you, you know, even based on, you know, the traffic study we did for, TD and Sons on Taylor Avenue, which was, it was 26 units at the time, that did not affect the level of service on that road. And 2 units here would not affect it. It's, you know, we can, you know, one of the things we could do is cut the bank back, you know, to the north of the, you know, duplex number 1 to, you know, cut the bank back, which will improve the sight line heading to the west. Coming out of Knollwood, that would improve it because you're going to lower the grade there. So you're going to see more of the car that's coming eastbound. But I will not, a traffic study here is not going to tell you anything different than, you know, what we have on the plan.
Did you measure the site distance pulling out of Knollwood to?
I did a cross section of it, and actually the plan view of it is shown on sheet 3 of the plan set.
Did you measure it with the building corner staked out? Or is this just pre-construction?
We drew the sight line on the plan, and I did a cross section of it along that line of sight. And the building is, you know, 3.5 feet to the south of it. The building does not interfere with it.
The building. After our meeting, I took the wheel out and I sat in the car at Knollwood because I know how to measure a sight distance. And I took the wheel. I measured 220 feet because the building is in the way. Now, where we staked it. Now, I know the staking might not have been accurate. It should probably be staked accurately if you're really going to measure it. But I measured 250 to the top of the hill without the building, and I measured 220 to the sight line. So
the building is not in the sight line at all. We drew it in CAD. It's not in the sight line at all.
I
can tell you that.
site walk to be very informative. I'm glad we did it. And I feel like when we stood in your driveway and looked, we did, and again, this is through the naked eye, but we did notice an impact. My question is not traffic, but is safety. And I think there's a member of the community who's raising an issue about safety. And I think that that's what we're trying to address. Is it possible for a community member to get out of their own driveway and not be impacted by the building? I think that's what we're trying to get to.
But it's not just me. I'm one person. Sure. It's the hundreds of people that live on Knollwood. And Mr. Trinkus is going, well, 6 units is 12 cars. Okay. Those cars multiply pretty quickly as kids get older. So 12 becomes 18 and 24 and yeah, and 12 cars will have an impact.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to complete a traffic and safety study.
As the applicant completed traffic and safety study.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, second.
So there is a motion on the table.
There was a motion on the table for the applicant to do a traffic study. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Trinkus, did you hear that?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't.
All in favor?
Wait, did Bob?
All right.
Oh, Bob,
Okay.
did you hear us, Bob?
Yeah, I heard you.
Okay, are you, okay, do we all, how many in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? No, all in favor. So
Hey, I have a question of Mr. Trinkus.
go right ahead.
Just so I have it clear in my mind, you're saying that the rest of Knollwood has no storm management systems?
Not to my knowledge, Bob. I did surveying in there in the late 70s and early 80s when Richie Finaldi built a lot of the homes in there with, I believe, Frank Rotella. They were all slab on grade.
They're all up on top.
Well, some of the ones I did were just south of this site on the west side, but there was no stormwater management for any of those. The roof drains, went right out to either onto the ground draining to the road, or they connected to a catch basin. There was no detention systems on any of the homes I ever worked on.
And Knollwood is basically a bowl with rock ledge.
Yeah, the homes on
Water.
both sides of the road all pitch, the driveway's all pitched to the road. So yeah, the road is kind of the low point, so all the water goes that way.
And this set of units that you want to put in will have a storm management system that will collect water so it doesn't leave that property.
will detain it and meet the zero increase requirements that the town of Bethel has from the 2-year storm up through the 100-year event.
So no water is gonna leave that site? There isn't like an overflow if there is a 100-year storm?
There is a flow connecting to the drainage system on Knollwood. There always has to be an overflow to that, but we're restricting the flow coming out of the system, and it detains everything up through the 100, so the runoff leaving the site after development is less than what it would have been under pre-development conditions. If you had a storm greater than a 100-year event, similar to what we experienced in Southbury back last August, yes, there'd be a discharge, but there'd be, that storm up here, there was flooding in top of the areas that were at the top of the hill. I mean, it was just such an off the charts storm event. But up through the 100-year storm, the discharge is no more than what drains off this site at the current time.
And again, living in town over 50 years, I knew a lot of people who lived on Saxon Road as well as Reservoir Street, and there's no disputing there has always been flooding problems down there.
Okay.
That have been caused by water coming down from Knollwood, filling up that brook through the backyard. I was friends with the Prestes on the one end, the Leafins down on the other end, both sides of the road. Frank Clark lived on that street when they first moved here. There's no disputing there have been flooding problems. They've not been solved over the years.
Oh, absolutely, Bob. I'm in complete agreement, but we're not built. And that's why I'm offering to, take a look to, use, my experience to see if I can come up with some suggestions that the town could implement to, lessen the flooding, in that area.
That'd be great.
Madam Chair, a point of order. Eric made the motion to request a traffic study. I want to make sure that Eric is officially seated for this application, for this discussion.
For public hearing, he is seated.
Okay, thank you.
All commission members are seated during a public hearing.
He's an alternate.
During a public hearing, all members are seated, whether they're alternates or regular members.
But he can't make a motion if he's not officially set though.
During a public
I'd
hearing.
like to make a motion to adopt the traffic study
I'll
covered by the applicant for this project.
And I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No one. Okay, we have it full.
Are we
Thank
gonna continue this hearing?
I
have
have
some
some
Other
questions.
things that have to be addressed though.
That's okay. So we have that. Do you? I can't remember. Is it Jeremy?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Okay, so you have that.
Yes.
Okay, so that we'll have that for the next meeting, hopefully.
Well, we'll work on it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, okay, now as far,
I have some questions.
oh, go ahead, go right ahead.
Mr. Trinkus, in a previous application, we went through the same set of questions that I'm about to pose to you. Number one, how many trucks do you anticipate will be leaving the site? Number two, where is the staging of the trucks that will be waiting, since there is no offshoot and we can't have them sitting on narrow roads that we have there, both on Knollwood nor on Reservoir? And number three is, do you anticipate having a crusher on site processing material?
I will ask my client, but we can provide that information. I don't have an answer on the crusher. The trucks, again, will be on site. They will not be permitted to idle or, sit on Reservoir or Knollwood. That's clearly a safety issue, and, that wouldn't be allowed by your police department. So they will be on the site, on the western end of it where the grade is milder, coming in. And regarding the number of trucks in the crusher, I will discuss that with my client and get back to you. I don't have an answer tonight.
Now for our next one, thank you.
Those are my questions.
One more thing, Kitty.
Go right ahead, Bob.
Be sure that, Steve, that you mentioned to the developer, Murphy's, concerns over his grandson's health.
Yeah, I will discuss that. I wrote that down.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question for Mr. Trinkus, if that's possible.
Rachel has a question.
So you're saying that you're going to be having a catch basin and it's going to be privately maintained by your client, that the town is not going to be responsible for it. Is that correct?
Yes, Rachel, actually the detention system, which is just north of Unit 1, the one closest to Reservoir Street, is completely located on our property. All of the piping, the drainage going to that, and the piping going out, to a new manhole on the drainage pipe up to the edge of the roadway will be maintained, by the owner. The small portion of pipe within the road itself would be the town of Bethel, but this is a 12-inch plastic pipe, and those pipes last literally forever. They don't decompose. They don't get crushed. But everything else on the site will be privately maintained.
So what's the guarantee that we won't have another Toll Brothers issue? Where if Toll Brothers isn't maintaining theirs, how are we going to make sure that your client maintains proper sewage? And if you add more to this, it's going to back up. We had sewage coming up out of our manholes. If you add more water to this, it's going to cause a problem.
You have there's two different systems here. There's a drainage system and there is a sanitary sewer system. They are not connected. In many older communities, particularly cities, they had what was called a combined sanitary sewer. While there were separate drainage and sewer lines, when the drainage lines got filled, they overflowed via connections to the sanitary system. In this case, these are all separate lines. But sewer systems can have a lot of what we call I&I issues, which are infiltration issues where pipe joints of the sanitary sewer, are not fully sealed, and groundwater, enters. And during larger rainfall events, groundwater can be a greater amount of the flow than the sanitary sewer material, but it can overwhelm the sanitary system, and that's where you would have, backups or overflows. But the drainage system is separate from the sanitary sewer. In most of the town of Bethel, to my knowledge, I've never seen a combined system. So there's two separate issues there. And if sanitary sewer is backing up, that would be under your Public Utilities Commission to investigate those lines to make sure there's not clogs in them. I can tell you in Ridgefield, a lot of their older lines are brick manholes, and basically large tile pipe where the joint seals are no longer holding. And it's not uncommon to find roots that have infiltrated either the manholes or the sanitary sewer, which can cause, debris to catch on them and cause backups. But that would be a public utilities, issue that has to be addressed by them.
Well, I'll throw this back at you the same way, which is if you're going to be adding more to this, we've been here and you've been talking about, how we have 100-year flood. It's not a 100-year flood anymore. We're having these floods more and more. Like it's going to happen. And I don't understand where the state can come over and say, we're going to build here. You're saying that there's going to be a lot of impacts. There's going to be a lot of negative impacts because you're blasting a mountain. So that's environmental. The neighbors are going to have to put up with the additional noise and the construction, the traffic, everything there. And it's a really dangerous road to be putting any additional houses on.
Madam Chair, we need to stop the the back and forth between the applicant and the public. I think the applicant needs to be addressing the commission and the public needs to be addressing the commission. So I just want to make sure that we're staying on track with that.
No, okay, you've asked your questions and we will ask Mr. Trinkus to have the answers next time for you when we meet again. Okay? Oh, yeah, commission members.
I have some.
Okay, commission members will be the last people to ask questions. Ken, do you have any question?
No, I'm all set.
Eric?
I do. I have some questions and comments. I'm actually really concerned about how close the building is to the road, and it does impede the sight distances. Certainly going from Knollwood looking to the west, and that can be, we can find out some better answers from the independent traffic. Looking from Mr. Murphy's driveway to the east, it does impede his vision. I don't know if it's going to make his less than 250. It's going to be, if it was 300, now it's 270, but those are just estimates. But there's, I think part of that traffic study should find out, looking where that building is, looking from Mr. Murphy's driveway to the east, into the westbound traffic. I understand it's the westbound train. So I'd like to make sure that those measurements are included in the study. The building being 13 and a half feet off the road, it's just, I think we're cramming too much into that lot. There's gotta be a safety issue with a plow truck coming by in the middle of winter, throwing rocks and snow into somebody's window. Where's the quality of life of the people that are living in that unit? So, that seems like a real, issue to me as well. To just touch on the right-of-way area, the town does not maintain that area. The town maintains the road, and they're probably, once it's maintained, they have rights probably with 50-foot wide right-of-way. And that area is certainly more than 25 feet from the center line. So, it wasn't deeded properly and offered acceptance back in when the subdivision was made. So, my guess as a professional that deals with this is that that land is still owned by the original subdivider.
Original who?
The original subdivider, person who originally owned all the land and subdivided. That's probably where it's going to land. So, which can be with quiet title and quick claims can be cleared up. But it's not the town's. It's not the town's property if they don't have record. If they don't have record of.
Well, the problem is we didn't have a lot of records for a period of time. And I forgot the date, what year. Then they started keeping deeds when they accepted roads. But before that, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
So that is a
We had
problem.
quite a few times.
We don't know what year that was.
Right, and it's the public right of way. It's just determined by 50-foot wide, and then this strip wouldn't reach that far.
Right.
It's just a hurdle, Mr. Trinkus. I'm sure you can clear it up, but you need to address that.
All right. So I think
That's all. But Diane,
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Melanie's letter, that she's talking about, Melanie O'Brien, the lawyer for the town, which was, I think it was May 30th letter. Anyway, also Eric Swenson had talked about it on April 16th. So it's been about the easement, about combining the properties. And that had to be done before we could make any decision on this. So, you need to look back, Steve, on some of those other letters. Because I don't know what's done as far as the combination of the properties besides even the easement situation, because I think that was in some of the letters.
Did you look at those, Steve?
Yes, Steve Trinkus for the record. Yeah, we did. And actually the map that was submitted as part of this application shows the combining back of the two parcels that this commission approved a few years ago. I think the work was done by Doug DeVesta. I don't recall. I think it was 2 or 3 or 4 years ago where they created the two lots with an access way from Reservoir Street up to the southern portion of the property. And then you had the front lot basically on Reservoir Street. But if this gets approved, the properties will be combined. That's our intent. We're showing them as a combined parcels A and B on the plans. And that map would be filed along, at the time the application is granted to make it one parcel.
I think some of the letters said it had to happen before we made any decision. So I,
Legally, it does not. It's just like when we subdivide property, we show a subdivision map cutting, you know, a 10-acre parcel into 4 lots. So we're creating 4 separate parcels, and, you know, upon approval of the subdivision, the map gets filed and the, you know, 5 lots then become legal entities. But there is no we could not file a map showing 5 lots without approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
we also need to have a blasting plan, which we don't have. I think that was in the health department and other,
I missed that comment. I'm sorry. Could you repeat it, Diane?
A blasting plan.
plan.
We can get you that. It's going to be virtually identical to what we provided on Taylor Avenue, but we can provide that.
Yep, okay. Blasting plan.
And you're saying in your letter that snow removal, you're gonna remove from the property. So that's the plan for you?
Yeah, the plan, actually, it can be plowed from the driveways, and we can dump it behind the houses, you know, effectively in the backyard of number 1, well within the site, you know, as a place to put it. You know, I guess we have to get snow. We haven't had a normal snow year, in my opinion, probably in 12 years at this point.
Haven't seen
So you're
snow.
gonna take the snow from the front of the houses and pile it in the back of the houses.
Word.
Yeah,
If necessary. There is,
get into the stormwater system.
there is areas between each of the driveways that can also be plowed.
Yes.
No.
All right. All right.
And I was just concerned about the sight lines as well. And I think the sight line for the 13 feet of the corner of the building, the back of the building, and it
Well,
was,
we'll have
it was,
that.
and it was addressed already by letters that we had from staff, so not like it's something new.
That's fine. Well, I remembered it. Okay, so we shall continue this.
What would be the date, Kitty?
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's saying that?
June 24th.
Steve Trinkus, I'm sorry. Just
Oh,
looking for the date of the continuance.
Go right ahead.
June 24th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, June 24th. See you all on June 24th. For this.
Kitty, before I leave, I just have a question. I'm representing Arctic Builders on 19 Trowbridge, but if you're just going to accept it, then I would believe I don't really need to hang around, I guess, my question.
I would believe we are.
Jeremy, is that correct? We're just accepting it tonight?
That's correct. We don't have any staff reviews done at this point. We just got it a couple of days ago, so it would just be an acceptance.
Not
Yes, Steve,
problem.
so it's just accepting.
And I will say good night. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer.
Mr. Chairman, can we take a 3-5-minute break?
Sure, you wanna make a motion to take a 5-minute break?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any Extensions, motion passes. We'll see you back here in 5 minutes.
And recording has started.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're gonna move into our business meeting. Item 5A, everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our meeting 5/27/25.
Yes.
Any discussion? Have a motion to accept? I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes, and for the record, I did watch the video.
Oh, that's good.
I did all.
5B, the,
Special minutes.
has everyone had a chance to check over the special minutes from our 6/5/25 site walk?
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to make an amendment.
As amended, yeah.
Want to make a motion to that?
Yeah, I'd like to make some motion to add to the minutes. That the approximate front corners of the building closest to the road were marked by Mr. Trinkus. Flag for the northwest corner of said building was located approximately 25 feet from the edge of the road. Upon review of the drawing, it was determined that the flag should have been located approximately 14 feet, or actually based on testimony today, I think it's 13 and a half feet from the road. The flag was rehung by myself and Sproul so that the participants could get a more accurate view of the proposed building.
Should we have a second?
And photos were taken that are in the Google Drive.
I'm recused from this. I wasn't there.
Second.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds like Ken and I are abstained because we didn't attend.
Okay.
Motion passes. We have an invoice for $448.40 for public noticing.
Yeah.
41,
I just.
$448.40
448.
to the News Times. I'll make a motion to pay $448.40 to the News Times for public
Second.
noticing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, we will move into our work section for TD and Sons Incorporated, 53 Taylor Avenue, 830G site plan for 20 units. I am recused in this application as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Eric.
Thank you.
Oh, Eric is. Oh, Eric is. Okay, so we don't.
The Doug left and no one else just.
I'm sorry. So it's just us guys. Oh, and
There's
yes.
enough, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, who wants to start? Go ahead. Ken, you have any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that as a condition of approval, that we have the sewer extending up to the last 5 houses on the street. Make the builder put it in.
More.
Okay.
I second that motion.
Do what?
I second.
Okay.
I think we had made that motion.
Never heard that one before.
Well, it seems a shame everybody on the street's gonna be connected except for those last 5 houses.
Mhm. Okay, all in favor?
Yeah, I just wanted to-
I have a question on that,
Go ahead, Bob.
motion. It's really not up to us to extend the sewer. It has to be extended and approved by the public utilities, I believe.
Right.
I think you're right.
Right, and I'd like to add to that, Madam Chair, the commission cannot require a developer to make off-site improvements.
Okay, all right.
Even though if they had talked about doing it in prior meetings.
If they put it on as part of their plan and it's part of the approved plan, that's one thing, but if it is not part of the plan, and it was not part of a condition of approval or discussion with public utilities, the Planning and Zoning Commission has no authority to force off-site improvements.
We did ask the public utilities to do this. 2 meetings ago, I asked, I made a motion.
Wait a minute, hold on. I need to look it up.
What if the off-site improvements were for the health, safety and welfare of the residents?
The Planning and Zoning Commission doesn't have any authority to require those off-site improvements. I mean, there have been court cases on sidewalks and stop signs and all sorts of things. So you can't require it. If there's something that they work out with the Public Utility Commission, that's one thing. But in terms of the approval from your commission, it can't have off-site improvements.
So we're putting 50 people on this road right around the corner from the hard bend that are gonna walk downtown, and they have no sidewalk to get there, so they're gonna walk down the middle of the road to get there. And I asked the applicant about a sidewalk plan, and he just denied and said he wasn't gonna do it.
No.
I understand the frustration with that, but that's the laws that we have to work with.
I mean, that clearly sounds like a health
We can't make
safety
him.
or a safety issue, not health. Safety.
But they also had said that they would do the septic, the sewers and the water before anything was done on the site, because they needed to do that first. I asked that question.
Yeah, but only up to their side.
Right.
Yeah, not beyond.
And then he made a comment last time at the meeting that they couldn't get the water right now.
No, that's right. Like you can't
And I
get a
don't
permit
understand-
to do it or
I
something.
don't
from
understand
Aquarium.
exactly what that means. So how can,
Well, it would delay
do
the
it.
development. It's gotta do that first.
Then we can't ask him to do it because it's not part of our purview to do that.
Well, that's part of this site application that they need, that is on his plan.
It's on his plan.
That's on his plans that we're approving, so it would be a condition that the stuff would have to be in first.
That would be done. Okay,
It would basically be up to, has been said, it's up to them to approach public utilities and request if they want to move it, make that a positive in this plan to continue it on up the road, but we can't make them do it.
but they have to offer to do it. But you can't demand that they do it, right?
No,
Correct.
So what do we have,
We
what
vote no on the
ability do we have here?
Well, they need to run a sewer line in from its current end to their site. And that's gonna bring sewer onto the street. And then, if there are any future hookups from any of the existing parcels, that would be up to those homeowners or property owners. But like I said, in terms of getting the sewer to their site, that's part of their plan. And I think it's been approved by your Public Utilities Commission, but you can't force them to make that sewer line any longer than what is required to make their site viable.
All right,
but at that meeting last time, he said he can't put it in until Aquarium removes a moratorium. I wrote down exactly what he said.
I think that had to do with creating a loop. We can go back and we could clarify that and get you an answer to that. I believe, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I believe that had to do with closing a loop on a larger water line and not actually serving the site. But I can look into that and get you an answer for that.
okay, good. And then we can put that off until our next meeting.
Yeah, you've got 65 days to make a decision from the time the hearing was closed, which was 2 weeks ago.
No, we have 65 days.
Yeah.
So we're okay. All right, what did,
Are you
He's not.
are you done? Are you done discussing it? I can get him. I know.
Yeah.
oh,
Are we
Wait,
done?
wait, wait.
Are we done discussing?
No, we're not.
no, but we can't do anything more because we have to wait for our next meeting. I mean,
Well, no, we could bring up more things to talk about.
oh, okay, go ahead.
But maybe there's more things the chairman can do for us.
Okay, well, there you go. Go right ahead, Jeff. Okay.
So in this particular project, for the past 4 months, 8 meetings, I have been asking for information pertaining to staging of the trucks that are waiting to be loaded. The reason for my question is that we've heard repeatedly from a neighbor who has a child with severe asthma
Yeah.
and has a concern about the spewing diesel fumes.
Right.
And I've yet to get an answer from Mr. Trinkus. I'm told, well, the trucks will be turned off. Where? You can't bring 2 trucks in while you're blasting. And this goes to a point that somebody from the public made before. We ask questions and sometimes we don't get answers. And this time we haven't gotten an answer. And I would like to know so that we as a commission can go back to our fellow citizen and say, look, here's the information. Here's how it's going to work. We just found out 6 weeks before it was closed that they're going to have a crusher on site.
Right.
Now, there was a big to-do about blasting and what kind of blasting, and we were promised that we would have the blasting expert at the next meeting, and it never happened.
No, he never came.
Okay, now we find out, okay, well, we got a crusher. Well, guess what? A crusher is not just a noise source, it's a source of powder that goes out into the air and can affect this person's child. No information.
Why wasn't the expert here?
Don't know.
He
Couldn't get him.
We were
never
promised
showed
that
up.
the expert would be here at the next meeting,
he never did.
provided we only asked him questions about blasting. That was a condition that Mr. Trinkus put
Right.
on meeting with this expert.
And he said he wouldn't extend it.
Right.
No.
And
And
Public hearing.
I just don't appreciate this.
and then it wasn't, the sidewalk wasn't, he did whatever he did without a surveyor doing.
It's like, well,
With
And,
the other
and as much as, one last point, as much as I've been we as a commission have been reassured that trucks are gonna be able to turn left out of the site and go down that hill, I'm telling you, not if there is a moped coming in the opposite direction, it's not gonna happen.
Right, especially if they want to stay in their own lane.
Going around that
There's
rock.
not enough room,
Can't.
there's not enough
With a
turning
car.
radius.
No. Yeah,
So the only way that trucks can exit that site is to turn right. The only way they can come in is from that direction and turn left into the site. And where are they staging? And then we had, Jeremy, you pointed out that the problem here is enforcement. That per regulations, trucks are only supposed to idle for X amount of time. There's nobody there to watch it. These trucks will be in front of somebody else's house just down the road, idling, waiting their turn to get loaded.
Mhm.
Because nobody turns off their diesels.
No.
This isn't right.
And we have, how many times do we have?
A lot.
A lot. How many trucks
And I-
will be there? How many, and where will the trucks be? And we were told that the trucks are gonna be on site, not on the road.
Kenny asked how many trucks would be needed. It took 3 meetings to get that answer. Fine, we got an answer. We still don't have the answer to the rest of it.
And we don't have the answer of who was gonna have their homes checked, how far to 50 feet.
No, we
was.
never got that.
And we asked for
No,
that
we
for
never got
several
that.
meetings.
And members from the public stated, and this is on the recordings, that they had not received written notice of these meetings. So those didn't go out.
Written notice of what? I'm sorry.
It's a
I
hazard.
think Jeremy said there was evidence of that.
Is there evidence?
Jeremy.
We got green cards of,
You know,
Yeah.
We've got the receipts of the certificates of mailing, yes, and we double checked to make sure.
Objection.
don't
My
believe it's
recollection is that
hard
there was a
anymore.
Reservoir Street issue, but yes, we have the receipts of mailing.
That's right.
So it is a Reservoir Street issue?
Yes.
Because some of those people that are on there, they just either own the property and rent it or something, because there's a lot of people.
Are those the people involved?
Essentially, not the, right.
Yeah.
So those are my comments and my concerns. I don't think the commission,
I think in the future, what we have to do is ask for something in writing every time we ask a question.
Yeah, exactly.
That's part of the record.
Yeah, you're right, Bob.
You mean in the minutes or something
Yeah.
separate? An actual
No,
letter to
probably
them?
in the minutes. Amanda
I don't
could
know.
write all
They
the
read-
questions down, I guess, that we
Yeah,
have.
I'll write them down in the minute, yeah.
To give to the applicant,
Yeah,
I think it'd be best to, I mean, Jeremy, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it'd be best if you gave the questions to applicants, like, not in the minutes, like, just send like a letter to the applicant, because I'm not sure if they read the minutes.
But they're not reading.
no,
the
but they're
letters
for
from
us. The minutes are for us
Yeah,
to
yeah,
make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
that they're following through. I mean, we were asking him in
Oh, I
live
get what you're
time,
saying. Okay.
and then when we get those answers,
But they're not even reading.
Right.
or the secretary, whoever's the secretary.
and I'm sorry, I do have one more.
I don't, so, but, well,
In,
I don't
in
get
the
them.
case of 72 Reservoir, our police,
Okay.
Lieutenant Matthew,
Yeah, we were.
What?
has suggested that we provide from 7 in the morning to 7 at night, traffic surveillance by an officer. And I think that
No,
this,
it's 8 to 5.
No, it's 7 to 7. I can read it to you.
Oh, I don't have that.
That's interesting.
For what purpose? Just show that people really aren't doing 25
I
miles an hour.
recommend that an officer should be hired for traffic safety purposes on the Reservoir Street, since Reservoir Street has a high volume of traffic during 7 AM and 7 PM.
Yeah, you're never gonna get.
Okay, so
That's during the construction.
during the
Right,
construction,
right.
I think that while we have a much high, almost double probably the number of trucks on the 53 Taylor Road, that we need to provide, make that a condition of approval as well.
That's a very interesting idea.
And the police
Because
commission,
that also provides us supervision as to who's idling.
That's right.
but the police commission was supposed to make a comment after they got the traffic study. And I brought up that the traffic study didn't include the truck traffic during construction, which we didn't end up
Police commission?
asking for. Yeah, the police commission did.
They're supposed to give us what?
Well, after they read the traffic study and they had written their letter,
Yeah.
we hear if that's okay.
I didn't
From
get a
them?
traffic study from them.
No. That Tracus did a traffic study for 53 Taylor House.
Oh, do it again.
And we sent it along to the police commission. So shouldn't we have heard back from the police commission
I never saw.
on 53 Taylor? I mean,
I don't have anything on her. I did not check.
I don't think so. I can check, but I don't remember seeing anything.
I don't remember hearing it.
I did not go into the system today.
Yeah,
so-
no, nothing new's been added for that.
Okay.
so can we still get something?
I'm not
from
sure. Jeremy?
Jeremy?
The police commission is staff. You can certainly ask them questions and receive answers from staff.
Okay, so what do you want me to, I have it.
Yes,
Well, we
and
just
the thing
make it a
reviewed. They did their initial letter.
Uh-huh.
Steve Trinkus did a traffic study,
Okay.
which we sent along to them. And
They did a traffic study for what?
for 53 Taylor.
Okay.
So the question is, did they receive it? What's their response on it? And we still want to know what they have to say about the truck situation during construction, because we didn't get a traffic study for that.
For 53 Taylor. That blasting? And trash study.
And then, I think there's a lot of concerns by the health director on this that weren't adequately answered. I don't know.
Who?
To Laura Basile
On what?
on this project, on the blasting.
Oh, I saw that. But we had our comments.
Right, but I don't think he addressed some of the issues.
Reservoir Street?
No.
No,
Taylor. We're on Taylor.
Taylor. Well, yes, I have.
Her letter of May 27th.
I had May 26th. I never had them all together. But we took care of that already.
We got a late letter from her
Yeah.
that wasn't addressed then
I think you
again.
got it at that meeting, Kitty. You handed it at that meeting.
I think it was
It
dated
doesn't,
like,
it doesn't have a letterhead on it.
we got it in August.
April 17th.
If you don't have it, come in tomorrow. We can
Yeah.
give it to you.
I've got the 72 reservoir, but I don't have the other one.
I think that might be it.
Okay. Okay, so we have a bunch of stuff waiting for us.
Here it is, May 27th.
I must have it home on my pile.
And I think there was one other thing. water and sewer, weren't they supposed to go to the Public Utilities Commission when they made the change to the different number of bedrooms in the second go around? And I don't know whether they ever did, because I brought it up and he said,
I think he said that
You
they
had
had
it.
before he didn't get an invite to the public commission.
okay, so,
Right.
So he can't just go if they don't invite him
so
to
do we
attend.
have to ask them to have him
I
go?
think it might be too late.
Yeah, it's done and over with.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you,
Oh,
Public Utilities Commission?
The sewer allotment changed with, when they made this different, when they changed the second go around
Oh,
to
yeah.
have more bedrooms, so.
So they would have to come back before PUC.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I brought it up before. It's in, I don't think he reads some of these things. So I don't know whether we have to do an overview of what everybody's telling them. That's what's just,
Yeah, I mean, I'm reviewing the letter from the police department. This is back in December. This letter was written. And, you know, he's addressing, his concerns about the 90-degree turn. He says, the egress traveling northwest towards the 90-degree turn until it will certainly pose potential hazard for the amount of potential residents entering and exiting the complex. So not even just, he talked about during construction as well with the trucks. He talked about the wear and tear of the trucks on that road that probably couldn't handle it. And now when we're putting potholes in the road and, you know, so none of these items were addressed by the applicant. You know, and there was a recommendation for a traffic study. They didn't do a traffic study.
I don't believe so.
no, they did a traffic study, but not with the construction. They did.
For, but not during construction, or for
Not
the
during-
impacts of construction. You know, there's a lot of items in this letter from December 24th that are impacting the public.
Yes. Okay, so we're.
Well, the only other alternative to reduce any of these things is to reduce the total number of units.
Reduce the total number of units.
Just
Say
reduce-
two residents per household times 20, unless it's 26. I think we're down to 20, correct?
We're down to 20 up there.
So
Yeah.
you got 40 cars, and then it says, members conduct at least 5 trips per day in and out of their homes, which increases the risk of a car accident. The 90-degree northwest curve turn
Exactly.
is not fully clear. A line of sight could block their clear visibility, making it difficult for drivers and pedestrians to see oncoming traffic or other hazards. That definitely sounds like an issue. And I think that was kind of most people's initial reaction to this, is the amount of traffic going up that road, which is a sleepy
Gonna be
little street.
huge.
Now we're doubling it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so where are we now, folks?
And someone there had asthma as well, some child. They were concerned.
Right there,
Yes,
that was across the street.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She's been at every meeting.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that nice lady. What's her name, Sylvia?
Mhm.
Sylvia Hockman, I think it was. Yeah. Okay, so
All right, well, we have time, right?
we have time. Yeah, we
But
can.
we should definitely all do our, review all these letters and see what answers.
Yeah, and then come back to that.
Right.
Come back to it with 6A at our next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the letter from the utilities department, which
Okay.
this is
So you want to come back, Paul?
April 21st
You can go to the new business.
from the utilities department.
Yep. Oh, you have the TOD map?
Not yet. I do, but we're gonna do Trowbridge first.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I had it at the very beginning of the meeting.
Accepting.
Jeremy, you have anything for us on this?
On the Trowbridge application?
Yes.
Nothing specific. We did receive the documents. I think it was either late last week or maybe even over the weekend. This is for a multi-unit light industrial building out on Trowbridge Drive, one of the new lots along the new extension. So it is permitted as of right. It's a site plan approval in that part of town. We do need to do staff level reviews, and we will start working on those and get back to you. So the applicant has just asked that you accept it and continue to the next meeting for now.
Accept and continue, yeah, that's what we have.
All right.
Next meeting.
You need a motion to accept it, correct?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept the application.
Second.
This for 19 Trowbridge Drive. I heard Bob second it. All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? Any extensions? Motion passes, and we'll continue this
Good.
for the next meeting. Jeremy?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
We're going into executive session.
Nope, we got the TOD discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Into 7B, the TOD discussion.
Oh, the draft map.
Yes. A few months ago, we had asked staff to draw a map to adjust the size of the TOD.
Sorry, I'm trying.
That's fine.
Make a little more noise, man.
That's the original one. Yeah, get on it.
Do they have that?
Hush. Yeah, these are the ones that I printed apparently weren't big enough. So I'll just leave these here for you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, are you seeing the TOD maps on your screen there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make it.
Yeah. We can. This one up over here.
Okay.
Oh, colors.
All right, so Mr. Chair, if you're ready, I can give you a brief overview of the maps that we've put together.
You have the floor, Jeremy.
Okay, thank you, sir. I've got 4 maps that I'm going to throw your way over the next couple of minutes, and I'll just give a brief overview of each. So what you're looking at now is I should give a brief background. When Tyche was brought on board to fill in after Beth's retirement, we were asked to sort of put this on the front burner. I know it had been being discussed for quite a while, a year or so. I spoke with the chairman about this. I spoke with your first selectman about this as well. And so I was made aware of a presentation that Eric Swenson had given back in, I think it was March, proposing a kind of a rough boundary line of an area to the west of the existing train tracks, because the platform, of course, is on the east side of the train tracks, because the platform is on the eastern side. And so what you're looking at here is the thick black line. This is your zoning map underneath all of this stuff.
Okay.
The thick black line is the existing extent of the TOD. I've been made aware that a couple of properties were added to it in this, I'll say, southeast corner over the last couple of years, but I think the map itself has not been updated. So I do apologize. I just became aware of that. But the thick black line is generally the existing TOD.
Yep.
The shaded area here shown in these sort of black dashes is the area that Eric had pointed out in his presentation back in March to you all, which was not parcel based. And so the thick yellow line that you see here is an attempt to take Eric's his overview map and make it parcel based. And so you'll notice that in this yellow area, this portion in the northeast corner is much larger, simply because those are larger lots. And so just following his dashed line, we grab all the lots that are within it. And that's what you end up with. So this is a first attempt at what that boundary could look like based on Eric's initial map that he put together back in March, with the existing zoning underneath it. Second map is essentially the same thing, but with some of the natural resources, because I think it's important to be aware of the constraints that are out there. And so the various shades of blue and yellows are flood zone. You can see the X, which is the 500-year flood, is in yellow. The sort of teal color that you see is the 100-year, what we call the 100-year flood zone. The darker blue is a floodway, so that follows that river there. And then this sort of teal with a gradient to it is wetland soils. So you'll see that a fair amount of your existing TOD, especially up in this northwest corner here and the northern end in general, is fairly constrained. There are existing buildings up there. You know, there are ways to deal with this, but it's just good to be aware of. And then the next two maps are maps that Eric had put together within the last couple of weeks, but I think it was just before we were going to meet on this 2 weeks ago, showing sort of a revised potential TOD and his, based on his experience and based on some of those natural constraints. And I think conversations that he's had with some others, this neighborhood over here was initially in his outline. He's taken that out. He's thinking that it might make sense to expand the TOD a little bit along Greenwood Avenue and out toward P.T. Barnum Square and encompass the town hall site and some other locations along the south end of Greenwood Ave there. So that's sort of one configuration that's thrown out there. And then this is finally another map where he, kind of threw in some dashed lines for you all to think about just in terms of additional expansions and some areas you may want to consider keeping in the existing TOD because of walkability and because of existing development pattern, the bus line that runs through, and some other factors. So I just wanted to throw these on the screen real briefly, and then I want to show you one other map that I think is relevant. And I need to just figure out how to switch here. I want to where's my PDF? It's not that. Bear with me, I apologize. There we go. All right, are you seeing another map on your screen there? You should be.
Oh, no, sorry.
So this is just another map that I put together, again, showing sort of the existing TOD boundary in the thick black. This is just a parcel map. The original proposed TOD that I had put together a while back, and with your existing train station with the green star, and then these yellow stars are your existing fixed bus route stops. And so, I think it's important to consider those. They are not train stations. They are bus stops. They're fixed route stops. And the reason I put that together and the recent legislation that was put together, I was going to have a larger discussion about House Bill 5002 that's now been given a public act number, which is 2549. There's a lot in there about priority discretionary funding for existing TODs. And I think it's worth you all knowing about that. That legislation is somewhat up in the air over the last couple of days. It looks like the governor is asking for some changes to the legislation. Maybe he's going to veto it. We're not really sure where it's going at this point. If you had asked me a week ago, I think me, my colleagues, and the rest of our field were pretty sure that legislation was going to go through. I think now we're a little bit more on the fence. But I figured it was worth noting where those stations are, and I'm just simply showing a 1/4 mile radius around each one. So the blue is a 1/4 mile radius around the train station, and then those black dash lines are 1/4 mile around each of those bus stops. Those are what we put together for maps. I'm looking forward to a conversation with you. We want to get your feedback, of course. And one other thing I do want to mention is that Eric had, I'm going to stop sharing this for the moment. We'll come back to those. Eric could not be here tonight, but he did ask me to pass a note off to you. He asked that he wanted to just kind of reread a paragraph from the original master plan to the commission as a reminder of his initial concerns and considerations regarding transit-oriented development west of the tracks. Let me get to that paragraph. So he wanted me to he wanted to point out to you on page 16 of a plan for Bethel, which was the downtown master plan. There's a note toward the bottom of that page. It says connecting both sides of the railroad tracks is critical. Note, this is a key consideration made numerous times and in a variety of ways across all stakeholder groups. The 3 bullet points are must create gated pedestrian connections across train tracks. Unless pedestrian connections are established, development west of the tracks will not be transit oriented, and the town should push for establishing pedestrian crossings in the most cost effective and cost efficient way. So that's that was the comment that Eric had wanted to make if he had been present tonight. So I will give it back to you, Mr. Chair, and see where we go.
All right. Hey, school, what do you got? I usually start on that. I start on this. Thoughts, concerns?
I've seen these for the first time.
They've been on the Google Drive.
Yeah. I'm sorry, like I said, I've been out. So I don't feel comfortable giving you a comment because it would be not even partially baked. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Fine. Diane, you have any?
Well, when we initially talked about this, I had talked about the bridge and the cost. And the bridge that they were talking about to connect the 2 sides over the train tracks. And I just think it's very,
The multi-million-dollar.
yeah, I think it's ridiculous. So,
I think Dan said it was $25 million.
yeah,
No, it was,
Yes.
it only wound up being, 3.5 million.
no.
Excuse me, when we started, yes,
Oh,
that's what it was.
on the roads.
It's 3.5 million. That's what the state was going to
You're
give
the
us.
oracle on this one. What was it?
I'm hearing it's close to 20.
Now.
Janice on there.
We're not, we're talking about when it first started.
Yeah, it's substantial.
I think when that
I keep begging for it.
I think when that comment was made,
Does it get
the
flooded?
response was that we
That's,
could
that's
not-
incredibly inflated, since we're just talking, that's inflated. That was based on a conceptual plan, and there's other options that would be a much lesser cost.
That price has gone up multi times.
But when Eric
Let's,
gave the presentation, showed what the other ones cost in the other towns. So that's what we were going, and he
And we're
estimated
talking about
that.
when we started.
I know, but we're talking about now. So,
Yeah.
Well, it's our goal tonight is to accept or modify or come to
Come to a
a
consensus
consensus on where we
which
want to draw the red line.
on what map.
Yeah.
What map we want to move forward to start the public hearing with.
Okay.
That's
So,
our goal tonight. Come
yeah,
to a
so
consensus on.
I think the consensus of this board was to obviously shrink it. You know, that's what based on, we had a motion the last time, but, you know, we've rescinded, I guess, but following Eric's walkability map here. So everything is, mostly on the east side, I personally,
Good though. I didn't
What's
realize, I didn't realize the wetlands went that far.
yeah.
I know,
I feel that, I want to throw the train crossing off the table,
Yes.
because this isn't just about getting to the train station.
No,
You know,
right.
there's businesses on the west side of town that are looking for people to be able to walk to them. Well, not everybody focuses on Greenwood Ave and the restaurants, the grocery stores and all that, are Main Street, right?
Yeah.
But there are businesses on the other side that need those walkability people over there. And that's where I think that the places on Diamond those people would maybe head that direction, or they would head towards downtown, but they would have options. So, and I could see taking all the residential Grand Street, High Street, Elgin, I can get on board with, getting rid of those. I would think that one of these red lines with the addition of these stretch on Diamond for the type of development that I think we need. And, with all these new bills passing on how many houses we have to have, this is the density. These are the places where we want the density. We don't want density on Taylor Ave, or Taylor Road is Abergran, Taylor Ave, 20 units down here would be, nothing. So,
but the people on, what was it? So opposite. No, what? No, opposite Diamond. What was that street there?
so Elgin, right?
Yeah, no, they
Farnham Hill.
were, when we went to put 200 apartments up there, they went crazy.
I mean, now it's
Zoning.
industrial. I can't believe they are into remaining industrial.
It was changed. Oh, west from the industrial to the, by the board before we were on here.
Yes.
What is it now?
I'd have to double check.
Oh, it's on the bigger map. I know. I can. Now, in this plan, we're adding, northeast in this one.
But that's a big addition.
Yeah, I thought
I
a
don't see
smaller one.
it. Much smaller.
And I would also like to know which businesses, which ones of these tax lots down here. I don't know, is the used car lot, this lot here, like I was driving by today. I'm like, I think it'd be valuable to include that lot for redevelopment potential. And then if it gets residential right after that lot. I think that's this L-shaped one because I see the access to the Elizabeth
Bigger,
Street
correct.
right there. You know, so I kind of wouldn't mind drawing the line one more lot this way.
Oh, I know, I know,
And these
I know the
these
used
must-
car lot you mean, yeah.
That's the
I
deli.
think this is deli right here.
That's the deli and the
Cause
shopping
you have
center.
the pizza's place, the pizza place right here, then you got the, what is that, notch on the corner?
Notch on the corner.
Yes.
And
So
this is
the
this
plaza,
is
so
the
it's
plaza,
these-
so it's like
There's
a
probably
nice,
these two
Yeah.
lots right
yeah.
here.
So, you know, I wouldn't mind grabbing a couple lots on the
On that
south
one,
side of
right there,
302,
yeah.
right there opposite the gas station,
Yeah, no, that's not a bad idea.
right? I mean, cause we're doing this for redevelopment purposes.
And there's a business that could use the foot traffic.
I mean, that's, you know, you want to make these properties more valuable, so when someone comes in, they can do more things with that and keep them as.
Right, you're looking at this basically right here.
That's what one data.
Oh, yeah, there's a
Just
different,
real quick,
there's a
guys,
different
I would-
shape over here.
The motion that
This one
passed,
actually looks pretty reasonable.
This is Greenwood.
9:30.
guys, just a note, the motion that passed was to reduce the TOD to the east side only, based on the map.
Right.
So I think right now, any additions to the west side of the tracks are off the table.
I thought that motion was rescinded because we didn't have the right to reduce the size of the TOD. That's what we're doing today.
The motion was only to ask staff to draw this map, to start the process, to kick this off, do this, set a public hearing, discuss it all out during the public hearing, just like it
We
was a
can
regular
present it to the
application.
public as is.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So the motion was never rescinded.
Okay, but the motion was to adopt this. That's what the vote was.
Based on this. So we've asked staff to present us some different maps based on this dotted line, if you will.
Right.
Which is what
Yeah,
they've
this
done tonight.
is his funky line right here.
Right.
Yeah, the dots, the dots.
So yes. So like that one, perfect, like that one right there, with the exception of the little bit of ones that are on the west side. Would be acceptable, but again,
It's actually
This is-
bigger than what Eric had, but then it cuts off the funky stuff here, but this is.
but it's based on the map,
Yeah, it's pretty
but
reasonable.
it stays
The
on the
TOD
east
was on
side,
that dotted
Yeah.
line.
but it stays on the east side. Now, I'm not saying that once we get into the public hearing, we want to adjust it then. This is just a start, we're trying to get to a starting point tonight,
Right.
based on all the motion that that passed, was to ask staff to get us to a starting point so we could get this going.
That's a good start.
So whatever we decide tonight is not set in stone. If we decide this is the map we want to start with, and then we're gonna set a public hearing
Mhm.
to present this to the town. The
Mhm.
town public will have their time to give us their opinion. You know, whoever wants to come and give us their opinion, all of us can give our opinions. If we want to pull out the Sharpie at that point and make some adjustments, we can. And then we'll vote on it. And if it passes, it passes. If it doesn't,
If you want to make it bigger, we can always make it
yeah, if we
bigger.
want to make some adjustments, you're bringing up very valid points. But I'm just, right now, I don't think we need to get into that. We need to just, again, I'd be in favor of this map right here with the exception of this part that goes onto the west side, just in the spirit of the motion that was made. And this could be the starting point. Now, Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong on anything I've just said.
Yeah, I wouldn't attempt to correct you. I think there was a motion that was made. I think, it's not tied to anything specific. There's no application. There was no hearing set. At this point, what we're trying to do is come to a consensus on what it is, what the line needs to look like, so that we can go ahead and file that application, accept it, and then schedule a hearing like we would with any other application. So, I think I understand what the motion was that was made a while back, which was to keep it to the east side. But I think if sitting at the table, the 6 or 7 of you that are there say, well, it's east side, but we also think these parcels on the west side make sense. You're not beholden to that motion at this point. We're not at that point where you're beholden to anything. I think once you come up with a consensus of what we want that red line to look like, then we'll go back. I'll go back and make that change, and then we'll file the application with that map. And then at that point, then you're stuck with that map until we get to the public hearing piece of it.
Well, again, but at the public hearing, if we wanted to, like Jeff just said, if he wanted to adjust something, if a member of the public's property comes in and he's right on the line, and that person wants to add it, we can take that into consideration at that time.
Absolutely.
Right. Once you get into the public hearing, then you can start to do those things.
Pick one that we.
Can I add one caveat?
I mean, this is more or less a jumping off spot.
I think your attorney wants to speak up.
Sure.
Sure. The one caveat is that you can reduce it, but you can't expand it. In other words, if you file a map and it's just so, and that's the map that's referred to in the legal notice, then you can't expand that. You can reduce it, but you can't expand it.
Oh, after this. Oh.
Right, right. Because once it's there, someone could say, the theory is, the notice said it was going to be this area, and if you expand it, they say, oh, well, I would have shown up if I known you were going to expand it. But you can reduce it on the theory that, oh, well, you had the notice that it would encompass this, and reducing it is lesser, but you can't make it larger than is what is in the original notice.
Okay.
So technically, we could make expansions tonight, and that whoever doesn't like them later on could reduce them.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, you could cut them out later. You could cut them out easier than you.
Where was that?
Which one? One with the guys. This one. That's the same one. Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, this one's just bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the one. That's the one. But I think he wants this one.
I mean, why not actually
Take one mile
I
away.
think that's the one you have small.
Yeah, it
Cut
is.
them out. Right.
And then there were three different spots for, us.
That doesn't include building contract. That one there, Dolan is not included for that one.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was looking for. Where?
So can I ask a question just about the history of the original map? Like when this was drawn, so the map that we are proposing to revise, when that was developed, who put that together? How did this the full map come into creation in the first place? It was
that was from the
That was
plan.
before.
That was
Before
the
then.
master. What's it called?
Master Ford plan.
Master Ford plan.
Okay, so and
That's when they started
that's
talking about it.
that. So that's developed as it's a product of collaboration between who?
The master floor plan was done, I forgot who the consultant was, but they hired in, they did a whole bunch of charrettes, community involvement, looked at the master forward plan, put it all together, and then adopted it, I think in 18, you guys. adopted it?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
It was before.
and it hasn't been, and I'll mention it hasn't been looked at since,
It was pretty cool.
but all over technically everything has been supposed to follow that.
Okay,
It was actually up, I believe it was put into our POCD.
okay.
That's what it was, yeah.
I asked the question only because to me, it feels like we're going from a map that was created collaboratively, right? A bunch of different departments kind of operating with some independent counsel advising about what it should look like.
It was a community, kind of, how would I call it, like a event, like they had a series of events
Okay.
led by a consultant that the town had hired.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, we're going from that, right? Which at the time, I think it sounds like it was something that drew on input from a lot of people to a very unilateral perspective, right? And again, I keep harping on this one point, and I don't mean to have conflict with with Eric and his input, but I feel like we are putting an awful lot of weight into one person's opinion who shared it with us, right? And I'm not sure which capacity he was communicating to us, right? Whether it was his capacity as Bethel resident, or as ex officio member of the board, or as the director of public works. To me, this falls very clearly outside of his purview. When you read his, the director of public works job description on the website, talking about managing snow plows, snow removal, this is not that, in my opinion, right? There may be some overlaps. So I just feel like I want us to consider all of that, right? We're going from what felt like a project that was done by a group of people with a vision for what this could lead to something that is very scaled down, that is the opinion of one person who's giving us these maps on which to operate. So again, just a concern I have, I feel like I'd take it into consideration if you care to.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment? Just understand that,
It's,
oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair now. I forgot you're back on track. Mr. Chair, just so you understand with regarding to, like, Eric approached us about this because he is a resident and he is one of us in town. He's a trained urban planner. He has been a consultant. He's lived in TOD. Like, the guy knows this stuff because it's what he's done for his career. It wasn't nefarious. It wasn't like, he literally just stepped up and really had something to offer. Now, I was completely accepting of it because I get a lot of pressure from the community that our master plan was done in 2016. It's coming up on 10 years and we haven't opened it and looked at it once. And that the pain we're feeling about developing in this town is somewhat linked to that. So the question is, should the public weigh in again on this somehow? I don't think we have the money to go out and hire another consultant and do a big charrette and the whole thing that we did last time, because a lot of that's designed to get buy-in. And frankly, this is my opinion. We bring in these consultants and they want to make Bethel look like Brooklyn. And it all looks wonderful when you see it. And, and Eric will tell you the same thing. Now you look at it, and that's what they did. He was a consultant. He did this. And actually, he's worked with Hardesty and Hanover. He's worked with these people. He's a professional at that. So again, this is just an opportunity for the commission to open it up, figure out if changes warrant, have a public hearing, get it in the light of day. And that's what the move has been for some period of time. And that's certainly as the first selectman in this town, that's what I've been encouraging, is for this commission to move forward and say, hey, let's get it out in the open and address some of these issues. Because people are not, they're feeling it. They're feeling the traffic. They're feeling the parking. At this time, I don't care what you do with TOD personally. I think this was driven by a real earnest effort to say, hey, let's look at this stuff, because from Eric's point of view, this wasn't real TOD because we didn't have those traffic crossings. And I know there are a lot of pressures about, how this is going to be financially, certainly politically. I worry about it because we've got a target on our back because we have a TOD. And that's 5,002, what we've just seen, what's going on. It's awful for this town and what our residents are asking for. So that was where this came from. It was just an honest effort to say, let's have a conversation. Stop blocking it. Nobody has looked at the master plan in years. We haven't talked about whether it's still good for this town. And it was done by, everyone was excited about it. I was there. It was an exciting concept. Oh, this is great. But I think we're feeling that now and things are different. We're almost 10 years later. So that's where this came from. It was not, I don't know that he cares where this ends up. I don't think I care.
I'm not, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm not
but I just
caring.
understand it wasn't like.
Bill 5002, how does that affect us in a TOD and not in a TOD?
So I think with the TOD, the question is whether or not we can voluntarily become a transit-oriented community. What they're trying to do is anybody that has a TOD or says they want to become a transit-oriented community, whether it's bus stops, right. Yeah. And basically they're going to say, well, if you give over your rights to zoning, then you'll be prioritized for funding, even steep grants, which historically have nothing to do with this kinds of stuff. So that's one of the awful things about it. The other thing, there's a lot of as of right rules. Like, in 5002, they want as of right. Like if you have a commercial property that's remained vacant for a while, it's as of right. They can go ahead and make it residential. So there's a lot of pieces and parts of this that I'm still unpacking. I know that most communities have reached out to the governor and said, whoa, because there's a lot of pieces and parts to it. I'm going to go do a thing at West Hog next week and learn more.
And that's, it's
yeah.
only affecting properties in DOD? That's
No,
what- that's
well,
what Bill?
what's interesting is that anywhere where you have a downtown, let's say, if I'm in a place where maybe I have a bus stop, or even I don't have a bus stop, and I want to come in and say, yes, I want to be a transit-oriented community someday, then you can give those zoning rights inside your downtown for this. Now, TODs, we've already kind of got a target on our back because they're using TODs for this effort, right? And that was part of this argument, because our TOD really isn't a real TOD. I mean, it's commuter rail. And I think even like Janice is on, I don't want to speak for Janice, but we could do more probably to think about getting people to Norwalk and Stamford, not the city, because we don't have the amount of trains going and the time to get to the city is ridiculous. It's not really, it's a commuter rail.
Right.
And that's part of what he was talking about too, walkability, commuter rail. It's not really a TOD. We're doing it for name. We really haven't gotten a lot of, we have one grant that was looking towards TOD, which hasn't really been totally done yet. It's not like we've got a ton of money for it, but I'm not against it. I mean, TOD, if we want to call it, just to make it work for Bethel. That's all I've said. Make the parking work, Eric's part of this, and we disagree, actually, Eric and I, in many ways. This was just a shot at saying, let's open it up and look at it. So however the board wants to do that, I just, don't question Eric as, being one guy, or he's a trained planner, and he brought this up. And I know there's a lot of talk about his position, because he didn't know he was ex officio on this board until after. That came up afterwards. We figured it out. It's been in the law for years in statute, and we didn't know. So he wasn't here as an ex officio member. By the way, he could have spoken up as an ex officio as part of the board. So that's just kind of my piece on it. I mean, whatever the commission wants to do, that's wonderful. But I would encourage you not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's still some good things there. But Eric wasn't like somehow pulled into like throw a wrench in this.
I don't think that's my implication. I think
No,
that
I
I think the information we're getting is still coming from him in some capacity, right? I mean, these maps are a product of stuff that he's created.
Right. Because I think what happened, our planner has asked to work with him because he is a trained planner. We haven't gone out and solicited other maps because he is an urban planner. That's what he does. We happen to have him. Just like we use engineers that we have or people we have for all kinds of things in town.
So he's doing this as part of his employment.
I think he's been asked by our planner to look at this. So whether it's, I don't know if it's he's a staff person. He doesn't get paid by the hour. So, by the way, I'm just saying, I don't think it matters what capacity he's in. That's my point. It doesn't matter what capacity he's in. Is he somehow doing something wrong because he's a resident and an urban planner and public works director and ex officio? I think that's where I'm coming to this. I'm saying, I don't think it matters what capacity, whether it's, if he's an employee, that's great because he is an engineer. That's what he does.
I think
We take
Eric's
advantage
point
of
was
it.
he's an engineer.
Yeah.
This isn't precisely what he does. He's taking an engineer's approach at it.
But
We've
this
had
is-
other
yeah.
experts that, we've heard testimony from.
If you look at his
and,
resume, this is what he's done for a living. He'll tell you he should have been an engineer. He probably should have been an architect or whatever. This is what he did before he came to
I'm gonna
Bethel.
jump in real quick, 'cause we're
Yeah.
getting a little
Yeah.
off. All right, so listening to this and listening to the trucks thing and listening to what you had to say, I just took a pen to this map and filled in a couple things. I want to pass this down to everybody, look at it. Because again, we're just trying to get to a starting point. This is all great conversation. And we can get into that more when it's the public hearing tonight. Just want to set the map up so then we can give it to Jeremy and say, Jeremy, really get the ball rolling on this. So I filled in a couple things here. Again, we can always make it smaller, as Chuck said. We can't make it bigger. So these suggested areas, I filled them in with my pen. To your point, excuse me, I'm sorry. I filled in this Diamond Ave because if we want to remove it at the time the public hearing comes, we can. We can make a valid argument. So let's make it in there. Again, it's just starting point. These items here that were all checked out. I just put it over my pen. This is the car lot. I added that on. Filled in this. Again, these were just following some of the dotted lines that Jeremy has suggested. So if I want to just pass this down to everybody, again, just keep in mind, guys, this is everyone, sorry, ladies too.
No,
This is not,
I was watching what
this
you're
is
doing.
not, set in stone. I'm just trying to find a starting point. Yeah, exactly.
But that's
So
what we need. is a
that's all,
starting
just
point.
a starting point. So everything
We can work
here,
from there.
we'll add this in. Again, and if we get into the public hearing, we decide, you know what, this is not what we wanted. It's not in the spirit of what we were thinking. We can always remove it, but like Chuck said, we cannot add it. I did that one as well. And I circled this.
You got diamond in there too?
Yeah.
It's up for discussion.
Again, it's just up for discussion.
And what I would say is that if you do get into the public hearing and you find that there are areas that we didn't include in the map that was filed, we pull the application, we redraw the map, we do another public hearing. So if, I mean, you've got that option if needed.
Gentlemen, you guys want to pass it this way?
Yeah, go
Looking
ahead.
at-
Yeah. I'm in that shape.
I watched it. Yeah, I watched it as well.
So, what's it?
Okay, I keep that after this.
Yeah, I was going to give it
Okay,
to you.
perfect. Thank you.
So all the thick lines and the little blue line here.
Yeah.
Adding this little piece up here. This is the Diamond Avenue portion.
Yeah.
That we discussed a long time ago. And then these are this is like the Dolan Plaza. And this is the car lot.
Yeah.
So again, we're just to start getting it to the starting point.
Good start.
Isn't this a lot of wetlands right here?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So wetland.
Right here.
Wetlands
Floodway.
versus, flood zone and wetlands are two different things.
Yeah.
So wetlands are this shade, so
It's the
it's hard. There's a lot of
floodway, yeah.
colors on here.
Wetlands, well, that's what that is up there.
It's,
Again, it's just, we can get into the specifics when it comes public hearing time. I'm just asking you guys.
It's a jumping off point.
It's a jumping point, exactly.
That's exactly what it is.
Point to start.
So I'd like to make a suggestion
Mhm.
because we have 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 layers of delineation here in the map. And I think that ultimately to present this in a simple and straightforward way, there needs to be a map that just has,
Yeah, well,
that does
if we're
not
okay,
include
no, if we're okay with
this,
this,
does not include this amoeba gray area.
I'm getting the feeling like we're okay with moving forward with this.
Yes.
So if that's okay with you guys, we'll get this map to Jeremy, we'll have him draw it up, so it's fresh. That line, that new border will be the only thing on there. And then we can, move forward with the public hearings and.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't have a concern if leading up to the final one, we show all these various.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
when
yeah.
you look at this, I don't know, I know now because you drew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's a question, well, what happens here? What happens there? If we
Yeah.
erase that from the final map.
But that's a
Yeah, I think-
possibility.
I think only
That's
two
the point.
lines, the existing conditions and the proposed conditions.
Yeah, and I'm sure, Jeremy, I'm sure you could do that.
Yeah, I can make a simple map. I just wanted you to be aware of some of the constraints that were out there. But yes, the map that gets presented to the public will be essentially a parcel map with 2 lines on it, the existing.
Circle map that we had, what was that showing? Because we don't have one.
Some bus stops in the train station.
Was it showing how much
It was like
how much
quarter-
people have to walk, like a
No.
quarter mile?
It was showing quarter mile, radiuses.
Yeah,
It's-
that's
it's
on
in-
this.
It's on the Google
It's
Drive.
in the Google Drive.
Okay. Do we
show
have to
me the
make
line.
Yeah, Bob, how do we show you this, Bob?
You want me to hold it up?
Yeah, you want to try to hold it up to him? Steve, make sure he's okay with it?
Here, do you want me to do it?
Okay.
He's okay.
He's okay?
He's
Are
okay.
you okay? I was like, I'll hold it to you.
Okay. All right, so,
We'll drop off the paper
so
copy.
we're gonna, I'm gonna put my signature on this one.
Okay.
Knock things out.
No.
All right, Jeremy, we'll make sure you get a copy of this and, we'll move forward with this.
Do we need a motion?
We don't need a motion at this time. What we'll do is I'll take that map. We will file an application based on that map. We'll get that in for the next meeting so that you can accept the application. And then after that, we can set the hearing date.
Make it a work in progress.
Excellent, perfect. Thank you.
Now, what do we have to do? in
We're gonna
executive
move on
session?
to public input. Does anyone here have anything?
Yes, just very quickly,
Come on up.
Nancy Sudik to Referra. I just want to reiterate what I said before, and I won't have my kid blows on this time. It's just when you have developers and their representatives who are paid to take your questions and answer them, and they stonewall you, even if they couch it in nice terms, like, oh, I forgot to answer that, or yes, I'll get that to you next week. Yes, I'll get that to you next week. Oh, yes, I'll get that to you next week. That cannot be acceptable. And I don't understand how this commission can accept that. And it's been happening for months and months. It is not just our friend, Mr. Trinkus. It's been people prior to him. So I know I said it before, but Sproul gave me the incentive to say it again. So thank you very much. And so did Dan Carter. And you actually had an idea of maybe one way that it could be solved. But I have to go home. So I'm going to say
Thank you.
goodnight and
Sorry to
thank
keep
you
you.
very, very much.
Anyone else have anything? No? Anyone online? I see Brad Colt's hand raised. Brad, you have something?
You know?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Hey, I just have a request. Many of you may recall that during immediate COVID time, when you folks were doing online meetings, and when we initially switched to hybrid, it was a matter of process or procedure that speakers on the commissions would identify themselves.
Right.
And because of the look on my screen, I know who some of you are, but many of you are really tiny and I don't, and some of you are even off screen. So I would just ask that when commission members in a hybrid setting like this offer comment, that you just identify who's making the comment. I don't believe it's required by state statute anymore, but I do know that it's just at one point there were 16 people trying to participate online, and it's just very helpful to do that. So I would just request that in future meetings, if members of the commission could please make an effort when you're making a comment to identify yourself, so that if members of the public want to follow up with you or just give you kudos or credit for something that you've said, that's available. The second thing I want to do is I want to just thank the commission members. I know it's pushing 10 o'clock, and I know you folks have have just been at this for so long in terms of looking at the TOD, and the level of seriousness and care that's going into this is outstanding. I think the amount of thought that's being put into it is going to result in some changes that are going to be very helpful for our community. And I'm just grateful that you're putting the work in to do it. And I just wanted to express my thanks for that.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Brad. I see a Beth Cavagna raising her hand.
I heard that before.
Beth, you have the floor.
Private citizen.
Yeah.
Oh, did she raise her hand?
I thought I saw her hand raised. Yeah.
I know, she might have hit it by mistake. maybe.
Beth going once.
Maybe she didn't want to. She's
Going
Beth, you're
twice.
muted if you're trying to speak.
She's muted.
Yeah,
Mm.
all right.
All right, I'll give her. She's got 2 seconds. Any other public input from the room? None. All right. Beth, nothing? Okay, we're gonna move on to our.
Wait, we got, sorry, we got some.
Oh, sorry.
Property owner from 8 to 20.
Sorry.
Property owner from 8 to 20 P.T. Barnum Square. My name's Lisa Stone. I'm just curious of why this was brought up. And if we're looking to like do it, why don't we include the whole map? And then work from there. I don't see what the reasoning is, I guess.
For which?
The review.
For the TOD
For the 2D map?
We've had multiple public hearings on this dating back to last year. With a lot of people overwhelmingly asking us to reduce it or outright eliminate it.
This was the first I was hearing of it.
Business
As a business owner.
Got it.
In downtown.
Got it. Got it. Well, I'm glad you guys are here for
Yeah.
sure.
So it
So-
was just a question of,
Keep an eye on our agendas. It's and there'll be more public when the public hearing happens, probably in the next month or so. you'll definitely be invited to come in and speak.
Just remember, we take August off.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Okay, so this is Jamie Lockwood, 269 Greenwood Avenue.
I'm sorry,
269 Greenwood Avenue.
Oh, that's why you look familiar to me.
Yeah, so we heard, I mean, I've heard rumblings about people wanting to change the TOD, shrink it, yada, yada. And then when I heard a couple weeks ago, we came and sat through an hour of the meeting, before realizing what to discuss. But, we're just trying to understand as business owners, how it's going to impact us if we are suddenly not part of the TOD. Maybe it's no impact, but maybe our permitting is different. Maybe our taxes are different. Maybe we don't know. And so while we've heard that there are rumblings of wanting to shrink the TOD, we don't understand as business owners who are paying tens of thousands of dollars to the town every month. That's not annual, that's monthly. What's going to happen to our businesses and our finances?
I don't think that that's what this is about. What this is about is addressing TOD. Is it exactly where it should be now? Should it be expanded? Should it be shrunk? And your input means a lot to us because that's where we come from.
Yeah, but we don't know how it's gonna impact us. How can we make a?
We don't either, so let's work together. That's what we're saying. Let's work together and see what we can do with this.
There'll be a lot of questions answered in the public hearing.
Nothing's gonna be done overnight.
This is true, but I'm gonna be honest, it was a little bit scary there for a second when we're all of a sudden drawing a pin on a map of what may or may not be discussed. And then, it's been iterations in this conversation of, oh, well, it can be shrunk. Oh, well, maybe we can issue a new thing and it'll be expanded. But I'm sitting there sweating that, that this pin on a map is going to be the project. And that's fine, whatever. But
Business owners will always be important to this commission. No, and I mean that sincerely. I've been on this commission 32 years. Let me tell you, your input means a lot to us.
It does.
And we need it because we can't move forward without it. So if you have something to tell us, we're here. We'll be here in 2 weeks. We'll be here 2 weeks after that.
There was also a parking and mobility study that was done downtown that you probably want to look at.
it's beautiful.
I was part of the TOD, the original TOD. I was part of the.
Oh, I saw the plans in the Google Drive.
Yeah.
Fully support. Those crosswalks are death trap. And I think I saw the police actually doing the study right in front of the theater because it's a horrible crosswalk. And I was so appreciative that they were doing that study.
Yeah.
And hopefully it gave them the data they need because I have cursed in front of my children, not on purpose, but someone just comes passing someone who stopped at the crosswalk and you're yelling things suddenly. Yes. So I have seen what I assume is a study in real time and very much appreciate that. But
if I may, I mean, I think encouraging fellow business owners to come to these future meetings would be really, really appreciated.
Yeah.
I think that our experience, my experience from our first round of meetings was, I think having a more diverse attendance of opinions would be great.
I'm just saying, you might want to or talk. It's 3 hours in. I mean,
You guys are all set?
It's too late now.
You guys are all set. I go, I see one more person raise their hand online. Sri?
Hi, this is Sri Popuri, 140 Greenwood Avenue. I didn't attend the previous few meetings. So my question is, I'm a little confused with these maps where one or two maps shows one side of the Greenwood Avenue and some map shows both sides of the Greenwood Avenue. What is proposed actually?
Sri, we just put a rough draft of that together tonight. In the next couple of days, we'll get that cleaned up and posted to the Google Drive.
The new map.
Okay, all right. So the current proposal is to, because I own properties on both sides of the Greenwood Avenue. So is the current proposal includes both sides of the Greenwood Avenue or just one side?
A little bit.
right now, not right now.
Both sides.
Yes, Sri.
So my question is, if the proposal is on both sides of the Greenwood Avenue or one side of the Greenwood Avenue?
Both sides,
Both sides.
Okay, just want to clarify.
both sides.
Thank
And concerning the properties that I just know you own from dealing, with prior applications, the border that borders your property will not change under this proposal.
Got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. What else? Public.
Oh, Janice has her hand raised.
Dance.
Hi, just listening to Shri, from here, it's really hard to understand how far out on Greenwood Avenue your proposed map goes. Does it go all the way to 53? Because we have a bunch of businesses on that side of town, Greenwood Features. We've got all the 289 across the street, Sycamore, La Placita, that whole area. Is that included in the map that you just put together?
No, it ends right around Bethel Auto. And Dolan Plaza.
And includes the parcels on the north side of that.
Yes, it includes the parcel on the north side of Diamond Avenue.
Can I ask why we wouldn't include the commercial properties on the west side closer to 53?
Janice, to give you the short answer is we've gone round and round of that with public hearings multiple times in the past to get us to this point. And again, this is just the starting point. We can get really into the weeds when it becomes a public hearing.
But we can't, because what we don't need to do, right? We can't expand the area.
We can.
But we
Yeah,
have to
you
come
can.
back for
Yeah.
a different application. I know, I get it. I get that part. I feel
Or
like.
you choose not to reduce it, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, or it goes to the hearing and the motion doesn't pass.
I mean, to Lisa's point, it seems like the best path would be to present the full map to the town that the town created and then go from there versus scaling it down based on a map that doesn't even identify the properties and the businesses on those properties.
After living in town most of my life, I know roughly what's on each property.
But you're showing a non-marked map that doesn't have addresses. It doesn't show what businesses are residential or commercial. None of that is there. The reason we created the plan was to support the businesses. And at this point, you've just excluded half the businesses on the west side.
That's the whole point.
But
It's about apartment density. The TOD is about maximum apartments, maximum cars. That's what it is. It doesn't affect businesses. Before
No,
the
it
TOD.
It
town-
does.
It does, because if we have density, like everyone's up in arms about all the building, which I understand, but why not condense it to a smaller area where the businesses are and it's a walkable town where the businesses are supported by those houses? And wouldn't that help get to the 10% that we need to be done with the 830? Like, it doesn't make sense. Instead, we're popping up stuff all over the town instead of having an organized plan. We're scratching it off. Like, my businesses still are in there, but I'm concerned, this is a community of small business owners. Her business was just cut out. And now through 3 meetings in order to get back to where we started after she talks. Why not include the whole thing and start from there? And actually invite the business owners to come and talk.
I understand
Like, it
the
makes no
concerns that
sense.
everyone's invited. to
And
these
for the
meetings.
record, we rent, and I know if our landlord has the opportunity to do something different with our property, which if somehow that is now an option because we are no longer in this zone, they will do it.
Well, they have
So-
more opportunity in the zone.
It's off the truck.
If they're out of the zone, they have less of an.
And with this bill, 5002, because they can make it into residential from commercial without us coming for us.
I am not a builder, nor am I in any type of zoning, so I don't know, which is why I am here. So thank you so much. What do I know?
This is your first coming here for one of these.
No, I sat here an hour and 15 minutes the last time that I thought this was on the agenda. But other than that, yes, that is, because again, I don't own, I rent, and quite frankly, do a service to the town. Owning this business that is not profitable, and here I am. Continue on.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard for you to know too.
I have two small children.
Yeah.
So are you now,
I work a full-time
is your-
job.
is your business now on this map?
It is now cut out. It is on the west side of Greenwood.
She has the.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Sure.
I want to caution about having too much discussion about this item right now. We don't have an application in. If an application is filed, we will eventually have a hearing where that is a much more appropriate spot to have a discussion. But right now, we do not have a legally noticed hearing to discuss this application or this item rather. And so I would caution against going too much further down the path of having a discussion of Janice's staff. So, I think it's perfectly acceptable to have Janice speak to you, but in terms of public, there will be a time and place for that. It will be properly legal noticed, and the public will be made fully aware of it. So I would urge caution.
Jeremy, you took the words out of my mouth.
Right. And I just would like to say one more thing in support of going to the public hearing with the full map. To the points we've heard tonight, you can't add back in easily. And it also sends a message to developers. Right now, we're able to attract good developers because we have a TOD. You take away the TOD and you do it in this way, then we have lost anything that we've created, any rapport that we've created with these developers to develop in Bethel, because now they are feeling insecure about what we're doing. We have a TOD, we don't have a TOD, we have just the east side, we don't have the west side. This back and forth, all it does is create animosity and insecurity with the developers that we've been really working hard with. I would strongly suggest when we did this plan, we had stakeholders there, we had developers, we had business owners, we had hundreds of people come and have the opportunity to say what they need for their business. And this is what they said they needed for their business. If we go in with a small map without having that same outreach, which we could do without hiring a consultant, we can absolutely do it. We need to have the same input that we had before, because it's easy to say you lived here, you know this, you know that, but until your feet on the ground, talking with these businesses, talking about what they need on the east side and especially on the west side. The west side are struggling. Look at all the vacancies we have on the west side. You take away opportunity for mixed use over there, those businesses are going to fail, guaranteed, guaranteed. So we need to know who this is going to impact individually. Just have a map and write lines on a map and say, oh, we think this is here, we think this business is here, we think this is here. You don't until we looked at every single property when we did this map, every single property. We knew who owned it, we know what business was there, we knew it was resident, we knew everything about each of those parcels. And you've spent about 10 minutes in this meeting doing it. I've been at all the other meetings. All you did was look at that one map that Eric gave you, and that was it. There was no discussion. The only discussion was today, and it was about 10 minutes. And it's very hard because I know these businesses. I know how this is going to affect them. I know developers are very excited about doing good things for us in our downtown, and all we're doing is alienating them. You've spent 10 minutes talking about this, and I bet you if I went to each of you, you wouldn't know half the businesses that are on those parcels by the map that was provided with you. And how is that helping our downtown? How is that helping our businesses? It's not just about residential, it's about commercial, it's about businesses. We don't have a downtown, we don't have a town. So I implore you to go to the public hearing with the full map and then work back from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Brad?
Hi, I thought Jeremy's point about the public noticing of a public hearing about it was well made, although obviously I would point out that this is in fact on the agenda for this map. I do feel the need, since Janice took
Brad,
time.
Brad, I gotta cut you off. it's on the agenda under new business, which is part of our work session.
Yes.
Which does not have any public input. We are now in the general public input portion.
Yes.
So I just wanna, and I don't wanna, and I have the utmost respect for you, but I don't wanna get into a back and forth here between you and Janice or us and Janice. That's not what we're here for. So if you have a quick point to make, I would invite you to do it. But you've already had a chance to speak once, and we still have an executive session on our agenda to get through.
Okay, my intent is not to draw the meeting out. I
Thank you.
will pick this up at another time.
Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment? None? All right, hearing none, we will move into our planner's report.
My report is written. I'll refer you to it and keep it short.
Perfect, thank you. We will move to number 10, the executive session for 17 Whitney.
Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes?
I finally figured this out. It's Beth Cavagna. As the former planner for the town, I would respectfully request to be included in the executive session that you're going to be having because of my intimate involvement with the application and the court case.
Yes, Beth, I would appreciate
That would be good.
your involvement in the executive session.
And Jeremy, Dan, do you want to be part of it?
I'm ex officio, so I am part of it.
Yeah, can Dan and can I be, and Chuck be invited as well?
Yes, Jeremy,
I'd like to see you at our next meeting.
yes.
We can talk more.
You can also write us letters.
When the next meeting is, or
24.
2024, right?
Second and fourth.
This TOD
Tuesday
specific
of
stuff
the
will not be on the agenda.
Well, when we were at the last meeting, it was said it was the 24th.
TOD.
The next meeting is the
No,
24th.
At the last meeting that we came to, that it wasn't discussed. They said the next meeting that it was going to be discussed was the 24th.
Oh, okay.
This was not at the last meeting, I'm sorry.
And that, yeah, this is supposed to be on our
If
next
you
agenda.
want to call the office, the land use office, maybe not tomorrow, because it's always crazy the day after a meeting, so maybe Thursday or Friday, and then we can let you know. My name's Amanda and I work in that office, so just, if you want to give us a call, and then we'll let you know, when to look for the agenda.
Excellent. All right, well, with that, the executive session is not open to the public, so I'll ask Amanda. during that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, is the executive session on the agenda or do you need to add it to the agenda?
We already added it to the agenda.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jeremy, do you know how to move everyone at once? I don't.
You're muted.
Yeah, except for a few people.
Night. Anyone?
No.
Nada. All right.
I'll
Motion
save
to
mine for next time.
All right. then I-
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
All right.
Good night.
All right.